been a rough
Now, please
this
welcome
weekend.
the engineers. Once again, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rensselaer Houston Fieldhouse for tonight's ECAC matchup between the Golden Knights of Clarkson University and your homestanding engineers of Rensselaer. Let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First, the visitors from Clarkson, starting in the goal, number 1, Steve Perry. At left defense, number 10, Kevin Tansey. And right defense is number 2, James DeHaas. The starting 4 lines for Clarkson at left wing, number 27, Joe Zarko. At center, number 19, Brett Gervais. And at right wing, number 32, Pat McGannity. The rest of the Clarkson University Golden Knights, their head coach is Casey Jones. Hey fans, tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts New Dark Roast blend features a bold start and a smooth finish, just like your engineers. Leading your engineers out on the ice tonight, please welcome the junior engineer, Daniel Keith. Starting in the goal for RPI, a junior from Winnipeg, Manitoba, number 33, Jason Castor. And left defense, a senior from Cheshire, Connecticut, number 5, Luke Karate. And right defense, a freshman from Sudbury, Ontario, number 22, Bradley Bell. And forward for the Engineers, at left wing, a freshman from Paramus, New Jersey, number 25, Drew Melanson. At center, a junior from Messina, New York, number 26, Mark Miller. And at right wing, a freshman from Atlanta, Minnesota, number 23, Lou Navy. The rest of the Engineers, their head coaches, Zach Happer. Assistant coaches, Brian Coleman, Graham, and Mark Delos. Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to center ice. Please welcome Rensselaer County Executive Kathy Jimino and Rensselaer County Stock DWI Program Director Jim Gordon, and joined by Clarkson Hockey Captain Paul Geiger and RPI Captain Curtis Leonard. RPI Athletics, the ECAC, and Stop DWI New York have partnered together to help raise awareness about DWI and impaired driving. Rensselaer County Stop DWI would like to remind you that when you've been drinking, let someone else drive you home or call a cab. But don't get behind the wheel yourself. A drunk driver is a dangerous driver. And remember, 21 means 21. Now we ask that you please rise as the RPI Pep Band will play the National Anthem of Canada. chorus will sing the national anthem of the United States of America.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
And Michael St. Lawrence, the linesmen for tonight's contest.
It's better to have the St. Lawrence's tonight than tomorrow night, right?
Well, I think we're not going to have much of a choice as to whether we're going to get the St. Lawrence's tomorrow night. But
you're probably right. In fact, I probably already know.
One wonders, and I could suppose it'd be fairly easy to go back and find out, but one wonders if Bob St. Lawrence and Michael St. Lawrence referee games involving St. Lawrence University.
Ever, or just
in general? I mean, it's got to just be a coincidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're not here tomorrow. If that's any help.
Well, the plot thickens then, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't seem like there would be any real reason why they wouldn't be able to. It just kind of
no, it doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of strange.
It would be strange, right? RPI pep band, Clarkson pep band here for this rivalry, an old-time rivalry, not like the one that the Engineers now seem to have with the Crosstown Union Dutchmen, but one nonetheless that the Engineers look to be on the positive side of here tonight. Tom, an important start is always important here for RPI, see if they're able to do it against these Golden Knights.
Well, the stands are always a little bit more full against Clarkson, regardless of what the state of the rivalry is, and you're absolutely right. I think most RPI fans are correct, or more correct, I should say, recently to classify Union as the bigger rival, but Clarkson's still kind of there in the background, so it's a big game no matter how you slice it for the Engineers here.
Engineers win this in 8. Clarkson's only win in their last 7 was against RPI. We're underway at the Houston Fieldhouse. Golden Knights dump it in. They're wearing their road green sweaters with with yellow shoulders. RPI wearing their home whites, black and red trim. Green pants. There's a shot from the top of the circle. Save made. Kasdorf bobbled it away into the corner. McGinnity back on it for the Golden Knights. Shot around to the near side corner. They picked up in the corner. Trying to dig it out of there is the freshman defenseman, Bradley Bell, who's playing just his 13th game of the year. RPI trying to clear it out near side. Miller's tied up. Out to center it goes for Lou Nanny, who sweeps it into the zone. RPI will get its first change about 45 seconds in. Behind the goal, it's controlled by Clarkson up the near side boards. Into the zone, that's Asselin. Caused trouble for RPI in the first meeting between these two teams. Through center, it's Schrader turning around in the neutral zone. Zach Schrader coming back for another season after he was injured last year. It's a dump in by the Engineers. Tracked down in the corner by James Howden. Howden behind for Amorosa. Now with the side of the cage, Liljegren looking to center it. Comes free to Liljegren and turning and shooting off a skate. It'll be picked up by Amorosa, the freshman, 6'2", 205 pounds. He works it down the middle of the ice. Crossing center, he'll dump it into the far corner. Mike Prapaves is back to get it for RPI behind the goal. Just a minute and a half in. If you're just joining us, RPI and Clarkson from the Houston Fieldhouse. Perry Lascaris and Tom Reel, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy. Will go behind the goal. Paul Geiger there. He gets hit. La Liberté trying to play it further down low for Neal. It's an all-senior line out there now for RPI. Flipped out to center by the Golden Knights into the body of Prapavesis at his own blue line. Puck goes trickling into RPI territory, picked up far corner by Clarkson. Troy Joseph tops on the team with his +6 plus-minus rating. The shot came from the point by Geiger. It was blocked down. Now a giveaway in front. Walking in front. A shot and a save by Kasdorf. Rebound pops to the corner. All alone in front of goal was A.J. Fawson, but he wasn't able to beat Kasdorf, who came out of his crease to make the save. Dumped back in by Clarkson here, tracked down by Jared Wilson in the near corner. He gets hit from behind and goes down. Penalty upcoming, another collision. That time Bourbonnais laying the wood there. We're going to have a whistle. And it may be for the hit on Wilson. If it was a little bit slow, but we'll have a stoppage anyway.
Well, kind of a lucky move there. I wouldn't say too lucky, but Matt Neal's certainly lucky that Jason Kasdorf early on his game has a really bad giveaway down in the RPI end. Gives Clarkson probably the best opportunity that either team has had to score in this game, but stoned right at point blank range. Jason Kasdorf comes up with the first big save of this game. We're going to have matching minors here as Vigneault is in the box for Clarkson and Jared Wilson in the box for the Engineers. So we're going to skate 4-on-4 here for the next 2 minutes. I didn't see what the penalties were, but I'll get us caught up on that shortly.
Yeah, one each way. Tom's right here. It is Wilson going off, probably for retaliation when he was hit from behind.
That's certainly what it seems like. Yeah.
Right, and the man off is Sam Vigneault for Clarkson. So 4-on-4 into the zone here. 1-on-1 is Miller. A shot from a tight angle, skitters wide into the corner. First one to it, Brett Gervais trying to clear, picked off by the Engineers, pass near side, comes out of the zone. Leonard will have to backtrack to the neutral ice end here. Now Bradley gives it back to him, back to the captain, Curtis Leonard. Currently 9th all-time in games played. Shot from outside the zone, left there by the goaltender Steve Perry. And now down through center they come. Nice connection to the zone near side. DeHaas in deep. He's very dynamic offensively from the blue line for Clarkson. Has the puck behind the goal. DeHaas trying to move it back out. Top of the near circle. Now back to the point. Wrists one wide of goal into the far corner. Just looking to get it in deep. Now coming up the wall that time was Howden. He'll play it down low once more. Now Howden still on the puck, back out to the point. Shot in the air over the top, deflected off a stick. Bradley tries to track it down. And it's Jeff Danello, the points and assist leader for Clarkson, had it stripped away. And out to center comes Melanson. Drew Melanson slapped it off a body in front of him, picked up by Bobella. Engineers have to be careful not to get too many men there as Bobella will shoot it in from his own end. This will be icing on RPI. Engineers did just get a change, so this group should be well rested. 16:20 left in the first period, no score. Still 43 seconds of 4-on-4 time remain.
And the penalties to the offenders in the box. Sam Vigneault penalized for boarding. And the referee chose to assess a 2-minute penalty for embellishment against Jared Wilson. I'm not 100% certain how you embellish getting checked into the boards with 2 deliberate steps, but I suppose it's possible to just crumble to the ice. So
yeah, it looked like he went down rather easily, especially for his size. I guess that's where the call came from, but kind of defeats the purpose of calling the penalty. Anyway, Karani has it here behind his own goal after the defensive zone face-off win. Face-offs the rest of the year will be a point of emphasis to look at for this RPI team. Now Karate into the offensive zone, all the way down low, bottom of the circle, spins around in the near corner. Karate looks to cycle for Liljegren. Some size out there for RPI. Shot in the goal!
Right over the goaltender's left shoulder. Hits that one just top shelf, just after Luke Karate gets done trying to do his impression of Connor McDavid, going end to end. And on a 4-on-4 goal, RPI second in as many games. The Engineers have a 1-0 lead against the Golden Knights.
7th goal of the season for the freshman from Stockholm, Sweden, Victor Liljegren. Now takes over the team lead. There were 4 players who had 6 goals coming into play today. But Liljegren picks up his 7th and 11th of the year. And the Engineers have the early lead on Steve Perry, sophomore from Ligonier, Pennsylvania, and shot in by Leonard, wrapped around to the far side. Still 4-on-4 from their 5 seconds. Nanny back to the point. Bradley holding towards the net. Save made by Perry. Rebound chopped at. And another stop was made by Perry. Picked up behind the goal by Danello. Jeff Danello, near side of his own zone. Stick handling. Plays it far side for Geiger. Geiger into the RPI end. Chips it to the corner. First one to it, Leonard. Takes a look around. Plays it up the wall where he finds Nanny. Nanny out to center where it's controlled by Danello. He'll throw it near side for James DeHaas. DeHaas in his own zone, throws it cross ice. Miscommunication there, goes right to Leonard. He'll throw it near side neutral zone for Bradley. Trying to tip it into the zone, but no connection there. It'll be icing. Wood tried to get his stick on it, but couldn't. We'll have a stoppage in play. RPI with an early 1-0 lead, 15:05 to play in the first period.
And that 1-0 lead coming from the stick of Victor Liljegren at 4:07 of the first period. An even strength goal at 4-on-4. The assists have been credited to Luke Karate and Michael Prapavesis.
So we have a face-off here in the RPI zone after the icing call. Peeled away from the circle by Leonard, the senior from Napanee, Ontario. 144 games for Curtis Leonard. 9 goals, 34 career assists for 43 points. He could this weekend climb as high as 7th. There's a hooking call coming up here as DeHaas was hauled down in the neutral zone. Well, RPI penalty and a Clarkson power play coming up.
Yeah, this is not a good penalty for RPI to have to take right here. Puck was moving back down the other way. You don't need to be impeding guys. I mean, there's ways to get down ice, and that's certainly not a good one for the Engineers. They need to rely more on their speed and not catching up. So Jake Wood, the guilty party for RPI, he'll sit down for 2 on a hooking call.
Another penalty coming up here, and who are they going to get here? Joe Cursone calls a high stick. They're going to get Leonard, it looks like, and it's going to be a very long 5-on-3 here.
That's not good at all. Right off the power play, just 4 seconds into the, or I should say right after the face-off, just 4 seconds into the Clarkson power play, it's Leonard for high sticking. So it's 1:56, a 5-on-3, but the good news is that if RPI can kill off one, they'll be pretty close to killing off the other one. It's just going to be a long ways.
Well, this face-off just got bigger. Clarkson wins it back to the near point. Move it down low, trying to slam it out. Bradley to Haas, knocked it down, didn't see it right away. Now Karate gets on, and he'll carry out to center ice. Shooting it far side and in deep, Luke Karate. And at least kills off a little bit of time here. Clarkson was 2 for 5 on the power play back in Potsdam. Into the zone now. Pirog back to the point for DeHaas. Far side connection. Summers. He has got 6 goals from the blue line, working it to the far side circle, taken away by Aslan, the diminutive forward. Like I said, had a pretty solid game against RPI last time out. He had a goal and an assist in that game. Now a one-timer, chopped wide of goal into the far corner. Aslan jumps on it. Freshman from Quebec. Get it back to him. Along the goal line, out in the circle. Aslan with it. One-timer coming from the top, saved by Kasdorf off his shoulder. Good reactions there from the junior netminder from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's able to knock it up into the netting. He gets a stoppage. RPI get a change. 58 seconds left of total power play time, 54 in the 5-on-3.
You want your goaltender to be one of your best penalty killers, and when you're down 2 men for as long as RPI is here, that's certainly something you need, and so far Kasdorf's been equal to the task.
Another offensive zone faceoff win. Slapper coming wide of the cage. Pops to the far side. Glove down in the circle. Sitting in the slot. And diving play is made. Can't get it out. Now it is. Second effort from Mark Miller. Gets the puck out of the zone. Back in, though, comes Clarkson here. Thrown far point. Holding it is Geiger. Back to the near point. Touch pass back to him from Tansey. Now down low. Into the circle now carrying is Zarbo, team's goal-scoring leader. Now Tansey, wrist shot save, rebound popped home, a power play goal of the 5-on-3 variety. And it is A.J. Fawson who picks up the goal. The sophomore from Maple Grove, Minnesota, ties the game at 1.
Well, sometimes you can only go so long. We get down 2 guys for that long. The puck is going to bounce to somewhere where the other team is going to be able to take advantage when you've got a 2-man advantage, and that's exactly what happened right there. Initial save made by Kasdorf, just popped just over to his right. There was a player there because there's probably going to be a Clarkson player somewhere where the puck is going to be bouncing to in a situation like that, and it's tied up at 1.
Puck was in the air just a bit, but Fawson made sure of it. His second goal of the season against RPI. He had one of the 5 up in Potsdam as well. Still power play for another 15 seconds for Clarkson. Neal trying to jump on the puck in his own zone. Kept in, however, by the Golden Knights. Slap behind. Prapavesis is trying to get in on it now in the near corner. Collapse there. Along the wall, now back to the point. Tansey keeps it alive. Now far side circle, centering pass, and not much on the shot that skips wide of goal. Going off on a change there is Fawson, who had 2 power plays on successive Would have been successive power play goals for him, but the shot went wide. Another shot into Kasdorf's midsection is held onto. Penalties over. Clarkson has evened things up on that power play. As we mentioned, it's 1-1.
Yeah, I think if you're RPI, you're just got to kind of move on from that. That's, it's just some bad. It's not overall bad luck. You can play better than getting a high sticking penalty off of the face-off just as you're going on the kill. But if the Engineers, you just got to move on from that.
1 for 2 on the power play is Clarkson. The Golden Knights shoot it in from center ice. It's played behind the cage. Luke Karate, the senior from Cheshire, Connecticut, nearly gave it away off the near side boards. It looked like Christian Powers was going to come away with it, but overskated the puck. Spinning around is Ben Dalpe from Paris, Ontario. Flips it towards the cage, knocked away by the Engineers. Back out towards the point and out to center. Tracked down in the Golden Knights zone by the Philadelphia Flyers draft choice, Terrence Amorosa, who shoots it in. Bradley Bell behind for Karate. 11:54 left in the first period. Engineers have scored first, but the Golden Knights have come back to tie it up. M&M line out there for the Engineers as it's back into the RPI end. Just over the line, Karate has it near side, tipped in deep by Miller. Stopped up by Steve Perry behind the cage in the near corner. Geiger takes a whack at it, Micah Summers rather. Kept in Leonard, a shot was blocked. Trying to turn with it is Nanny. He'll play it along the near side boards, back to the point for Leonard, down low for Miller, into the crease and swatted away. Clarkson looks to break back the other way, 3-on-2. As they cross the red line, thrown near side too far out in front of McGennity. Leonard runs into him in the near corner, played at the near side wall, and it's going to be Miller ahead for Nanny. Nanny into the offensive end, he just dump it in. Perry stops it up behind the goal. Shots are 6-2 Clarkson, and is moved up the far boards by Tansey. Engineers take over in their own end. It's the freshman Jared Wilson had an assist against Colgate last time out for RPI. Picked up Bubella far side, keeps it in deep. Schrader down there. Looks to spin away from the check from DeHaas. And he'll hand it off for Liljegren, the goal scorer. Liljegren, nice move to get free on the backhand. Stuff try, saved by Perry. Rebound is going to be covered. As Liljegren got right to the net, trying to jam it home. But Perry held strong on that near post.
Official scoring for Clarkson on their tying goal came at 6:51 on the power play. They had a two-man advantage at the time. Goal scored by A.J. Fossen, his 5th of the season. The assists going to Kevin Tansey and Joe Zarbo.
Draw coming up here to the left of Steve Perry. There's a look at those watching, I should say, on RPI TV. Steve Perry, draw coming up here. Just back from injury. He was injured for a good portion of the season. This is his 18th appearance. He is 7-7-1 with a shutout, 193 goals against, 912 save percentage. Very good numbers. The 5 goals Clarkson scored against RPI. A little bit of an aberration for this Golden Knights team as it's picked up at the side of the cage. Babella trying to jam it home. Picked up again by Babella. Onto the backhand, far side corner. Move it back to the point. Prapavesis already assists today for Mike Prapavesis. Now Wilson wrists one wide of the goal. Babella has it in the far corner. Left there for Liljegren. Pops free and carried out by Fossen to center. Thrown near side ahead for Vigneault. And now to the near circle for Josephs. He'll shoot it in deep, and the Engineers will take over there. Shot out to center, taken over by Amorosa, who fires it right back into the near corner. Prapavesis back to claim it there. The freshman defenseman with his 6th assist of the season from Oakville, Ontario. He stopped up behind the RPI goal here as Engineers complete their change. 9:45 left first period. RPI and Clarkson tied 1-1. Long outlet pass past everybody, but Wood beats out the icing call. Into the far corner, sandwiched over there was Geiger, but he stays on his feet. Puck played to the far wall. DeVito trying to chop at it. Moved out by Clarkson. Another chance to break 2-on-2 to the RPI line. Intercepted and turned back around by Bradley. Bourbonnais crosses center and dumps in. Just onside was DeVito. Perry stops it behind the cage. Played up the far side boards. Kept in by Bradley. Down low. Skips over the stick of Wood. Behind the goal for Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais carries it back out to the far corner. Now to the hash marks far side. Bourbonnais with it. Back to the point. Center ice Bradley. Wrist shot towards goal. Rebound comes out to Leonard. Chop pass down low. He was looking for the deflection from Wood. Didn't get it. There was a good idea from Leonard, but the connection not made. Now Bourbonnais, far side point. He's tied up, and a penalty coming up on Bourbonnais as it's carried back by Aslan. 1-on-2, now 1-on-3 into the RPI zone. Clarkson changing behind the play. Off is Wood for the extra attacker. And touched up by La Liberté. Another penalty coming up here. This one in the offensive zone is going to be a hook on Bourbonnais.
Boy, I don't know about this one. It looked like a pretty good back check to me. If you're going to make it illegal to use any stick work on the back check, you're going to make it for a long night for both these teams defensively. I'm not sure that's something I would have necessarily raised my arm for if I'd been wearing the stripes, but I'm not, so we got Riley Bourbonnais off for hooking. 8:50 left in the first period. RPI and Clarkson are tied at 1. Clarkson going on the power play.
Defensive zone face-off win. Karate fires it off the far boards all the way down. Stopped up there by Steve Perry. With the far boards for DeHaas. Out to center comes Sam Vigno. 5 goals, 5 assists, trying to walk it all the way to the RPI net. Throws it in front, saved by Kasdorf on the pad. The net comes off. That play created entirely by the 6'5 freshman Sam Vigno, who drew all the attention to him and threw it right back across the top of the crease. Had a man on the far side. That was Joe Zarbo, but he was denied by the left pad of Kasdorf.
Kind of a bad timing for this penalty here, as RPI has definitely shown the initiative at even strength. They were unlucky not to get a second goal during the last sequence, and now they have another penalty to kill off.
Draw coming here to the left of Jason Kasdorf, the Winnipeg Jets draft pick and now property of the Buffalo Sabres. It's played around to the far side corner, falling down Schrader. He's on top of the puck. 2 Golden Knights over there, still underneath Schrader, trying to kick at it. It'll go behind the goal. Karate picks it up, trying to play it around to the far corner, steps through a couple checks, trying to clear it out, and he does all the way down. Good effort by Karate there, the assistant captain. One of these 6 seniors that'll be honored tomorrow night. After tomorrow night's game, senior night against the ranked St. Louis Saints, coming to town here for the regular season finale. Starting up behind their own goal is James DeHaas, sophomore from Mississauga, Ontario. Drops it off for Danello into the zone now for Pirog. Back up top for DeHaas. Near side circle. Danello to the near circle now. Aslan back up top. Far side one-timer shot was blocked up high into the netting. Good play to get over there. Looked like it was Neal who got in the way of that shot.
Yeah, the net came off its moorings once again as well, which was
you're right.
Another cause of the whistle. Some of these nets at Houston Vale are a little notorious for being easy to knock off their pegs, so the referee's trying to make sure that's going to stay this time. I don't know if you're Jason Kasdorf, it's probably something that's in the back of your mind if you need a quick whistle. I'm not going to say that he does it on purpose, but occasionally you never know.
Here is DeHaas near point, feeding it up the wall. Now Danello to DeHaas, kept in far point. DeHaas a slapper wide of goal. Aslan picks it up, trying for the wraparound. He'll choose against it. Just try to play it back out. It hits off the skate of McGowan, and it'll flutter out to center. Engineers get to change their penalty killing unit. 25 seconds to go on the Bourbonnais penalty. Clarkson into the zone. Pirog just throws it off the near boards. DeHaas picks it up. He'll carry it in to the hash marks and now stops there. Near side wall. Back to the point for DeHaas. Still carrying, center blue line, wrist shot save, rebound pops free to the near circle. Diving effort made, it'll pop off the top of the glass out of play. Good effort that time to kind of leap for that one by Nanny.
4 seconds left on the penalty to Bourbonnais. RPI penalty killer's doing a good job in this one of keeping the puck on the perimeter. That's what you want to do. And that's what they've done. 6:54 left in the first period. RPI and Clarkson are tied at 1.
4 seconds left in the power play. Shots are 10 for Clarkson here. They win the draw again. Howden's shot sits in the middle of the slot area. Cleared out towards the line, kept in. Howden, another shot deflected, and they score. Great tip by McGinnity right after the penalty expired. It's going to be a 5-on-5 goal, and Clarkson takes a 2-1 lead. 5-on-5 goal, but you can really kind of count this one for the power play. Victor Liljegren trying to get himself back into the play after he replaced Bourbonnais coming off the penalty bench. He almost was able to snag it close to the blue line, which would have potentially created a breakaway opportunity, but realistically, with Clarkson keeping that puck in the zone, you can kind of chalk that one up to the power play that they were just coming off of. And it just kind of hopped up and over the shoulder of Jason Kasdorf, and that gives Clarkson a 2-1 lead with 6:38 left in the first period. Engineers get it deep. Perry leaves it for Amorosa and gets in the way of Babella just a bit there. Trying to keep it in. Leonard on the one-hand play. Puck out to center, and the Slovakian native, Milos Babella, shoots it in. Amorosa, far side for Howden. And now connecting out to center here is Terrence Amorosa into the RPI zone. A little awkwardly there. Swatting at it was Liljegren. In fact, Clarkson is offside. Faceoff will come all the way down on an intentional offside. 6:12 to play first period. Clarkson now on top 2-1.
Well, we're about 13 minutes into this game, and RPI's taken 8 minutes of penalties. That pretty much sums it up why the Engineers are back 2-1 in this one. You know, they've played extremely well, and they've really controlled play at even strength, so you got to definitely think the discipline is going to be an issue for the Engineers going forward here. If they're going to be able to pull out a victory in this one, they've got to stay out of the penalty box.
They decided it was not intentional offside, so the face-off back just outside the RPI zone here. Jared Wilson has it up the near boards and to the neutral zone, knocked down by Miller. Miller into the zone, hands it off Nanny, heading on his backhand, flips it towards goal, saved by Perry. Rebound pop for East, another save of Melanson, flip behind him, they score!
Done in the end, finally just flipping it up and over the shoulder of Steve Perry, who was looking every which way for the puck, trying to figure out exactly where it was coming from. And in the end, it was just to his right. Some good work down low by Miller and Melanson, just basically whacking at both of them a couple of times. Melanson's the one that eventually gets it into the net. It looks like he actually put it in off the back of Steve Perry.
It had to go off of Perry. The first shot hit the pad. It was a good save by Perry, but he did still realize where the puck was. And he's able to chip it over the pad for the goal. 2-2 here with 5:50 to play in the period. That pass back to the point is tipped out to center by Josephs. And the Engineers will corral it in their own end. Shot back out to center. There's a goal tonight offside. It was Josephs who have to touch up. RPI has it now at center. Neal playing it on further, looking for the Liberté. They tie up in front of the RPI bench. It'll be chipped along and in deep. Geiger will pick it up in his own zone here. Second crack for Melanson. So it is Melanson from Miller and Nanny. That line combining here to tie the game at 2. Kept in along the far boards in the corner by Fawson, and now behind Bradley Bell has it. Good outlet pass the center. Bourbonnais couldn't control. It'll go all the way down, but he did get a touch. Now picked up at the far side. Half wall by DeVito, down low Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais back to the point for Leonard. Far side one-timer blocked out to center on the try by Bradley. Right in his face there was Fawson. And the Engineers will reset in the neutral zone. Chipped in by Bourbonnais. Behind the goal it goes. Danilo high in the air and out of play. He took a hit from DeVito right as he was releasing the puck there. And he gets a couple of stares from some of the Clarkson players. We'll have a stoppage here.
Last 2 goals at 13-17. Clarkson took a 2-1 lead at even strength. Pat McGinnity is 5th of the year from James Howden, and Joe Zarbo made it 2-1 in favor of the Golden Knights. Then shortly thereafter, less than a minute later, 14:01 of the first period, Drew Melanson with his 7th of the year from Mark Miller and Lou Nanny. That makes it 2-2.
And so the 1-goal team lead for Victor Liljegren didn't last a period. He's now tied with Melanson, 7 on the year for both of them. Bradley, that one clearly left the zone, and they allowed the shot to go anyway. Now they're going to blow it dead.
Took him a while on that one.
The backswing there, that Bradley pulled the puck back and it was about 6 to 8 inches clearly back in an offside position. Then he shot it, and they're going to get the whistle here.
Hey, usually you call that one right after it goes off the goaltender, but they waited a couple more seconds. It's just
because it wasn't going to count.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't know exactly where he was when he was taking that shot. He thought he was a little bit farther to the blue line than he was.
DeHaas has it off the neutral zone face-off win for Clarkson. Far side boards. Zarbo in deep far corner. Shot around past McGinnity all the way out to center. Picked up there by Tansey, being harassed by Schrader. Schrader picks it away and knocks Tansey down. Into the corner with it is Schrader. Steps through the check of Tansey. He'll shoot it off the near boards for Wilson. Nice job to Corral. Shoots it off the back of the net from a tight angle. Glove down behind the cage by Schrader. Taken over by Tansey there. In the air, Liljegren trying to glove it to himself. He does in the far corner. Liljegren all tied up by Tansey. Carries it to the far half wall, plays it back to the point for Prapavesis. Mike Prapavesis still walking in, takes a shot over the top. Didn't miss by much. It'll be chipped off the glass and out to center to relieve some of the pressure by Zarbo. Clarkson gets a change. Engineers have it neutral zone. Bubella off the near boards and all the way down, trickling wide of goal. They wave off the icing as it's picked up by Summers. Kelly Summers throwing it far side off the boot of Zarbo. who I thought just went off, but apparently not. Now he will. Karate has it in the near side corner of his own zone, getting whacked and chopped at by Josephs. Plays it behind, trying to work up the near side boards as Nanny. He gets hooked a bit. And now Nanny back on it behind the goal. Here is Bradley Bell up the far boards, gets it back to Karate. He'll carry it in near side. Karate to the circle. Stops at the hash mark and shoots it in. Wraps around to the far corner. Miller's double team, lost his stick. Puck played out towards the point and past Bell out to center ice. Picked up there by Chris Bradley. Bradley, far side circle of his own zone, near side from Melanson. Touch pass to center. Pinned against the boards is a Liberté, but he does get it deep. Amorosa behind his own goal to start things out for Clarkson. 2:40 left in the first. Shots are 11-9 Golden Knights. It's a 2-2 game. Through center, connected and flipped in deep by Powers. Tie up in the far corner. Puck just sat there. Played behind by Leonard to the Liberté. Little saucer pass near side for Matt Neal. 5 points, 5 goals, 10 assists for Matt Neal back into the lineup tonight. As it's Amorosa falling down. Far side of his own zone was Howden. The fans get a bit of a crack out of that one. Here is Amorosa now to his own blue line. Slowly drops it back for Howden. He'll try the near side, crosses center, rips it in. It'll roll around to the far corner. Chris Bradley, the first one to it, takes a hit. Puck comes free to the half boards. Neal carries it on further out to center ice. 3-on-2 of the Engineers. Hurry, McGowan and Leonard with him. Now McGowan in the circle. Shot, he's on top 3-2 with 1:50 to go in this first period.
That's a great way to develop a 3-on-2. Just the Engineers actually got caught with this one against Colgate, where the Raiders used a drop pass to basically break the ice open and find an open man. This time the Engineers pull it off. It's just a nice pass across to McGowan. Once again, he threads the needle, puts it top shelf. RPI takes a 3-2 lead here late in the first period.
Engineers have their second lead of the game. They led 1-0. Now through center, we're back to action here. Poked at, but can't clear the zone. Summers off the near wall. He's tied up. Takes another hit there as Wood got him down low. Trying to clear out to center board, but they get it as far as the neutral zone. Now it's bouncing around towards the RPI line. RPI will play it back. Engineers have it in their own end. Prapavesis near side for Wilson. Touched into the zone by DeVito. Try and chase it down in the far corner. He is the first one to it. Jimmy DeVito, the sophomore out of Bloomington, Illinois. Back comes Pirog all the way down the ice. This should be icing, unless they say Prapavesis can get there. No. Icing called on Clarkson with 1:08 to go in the period. Engineers have that 3-2 lead now.
Well, officially it is McGowan's 6th of the season from Neal and La Liberté. That's that senior line. That senior third line, really, for the Engineers. And now the top 3 lines for RPI, all with even strength goals in the first period.
The RPI goals, we're back to action here.
This is the final minute of play of the period.
Engineers have the puck, Clarkson in their near corner. Now Summers gets knocked down. Schrader trying to play it out in front, had a man there. It was Babella. Moved back to the point for Leonard. Far side, Bradley, wrist shot through traffic, never got to Perry. Picked up by Danello, high off the glass out to center, controlled by Bradley there. Pirog right back to the RPI line, but the Engineers take over once more. Milos Bubella flipping in off the far glass. It'll rattle around to the near corner. It's Bubella all by himself there with 5 Golden Knights. Now the rest of his teammates join him off the bench. Miller, near side half wall, holding there. He'll carry it down low. Miller looking to center, looking for the one-timer from Bubella. Skipped right by him, kept in Karate. Amorosa, far side, can't control. Miller takes it away. Thrown in the middle of the ice. Shot was blocked again on the one-timer try by Bubella. Shot back in as the Engineers keep it in. The fans, a little bit of a cheer there. Now a shot tried from the far side by Melanson, didn't get any of it. Picked up in the center of the ice and moved out ahead. Here comes Clarkson into the zone as the horn expires. First period over, a back and forth first. Thought there might be some goals in this game. It's a high-scoring rivalry, and we're not disappointed. 5 goals split 3-2 RPI's way.
You definitely called it right before we started this game, Perry. These teams are known for scoring in bunches when they play each other. Maybe not necessarily this season, since RPI's had problems scoring goals in general. We talked earlier At least I talked to Seth Abbott earlier about how RPI's had a hard time reaching free in games. Well, they just did it in the first period here. Now it's incumbent upon them to stay out of the penalty bench, because really during that first period you saw Clarkson mostly having their dominance with the extra skaters, as it were, since they had a rather long 5-on-3 that led to their first goal, and the second goal really created by the power play as well. So for RPI, it's incumbent upon them to stay out of the box, because when they're playing at even strength, boy, they're playing real well in this game, and that's they've got the advantage now with the lead, and they've got 40 more minutes to go in this one. They've really got to focus on their discipline.
Engineers have that 3-2 lead. We will take our first intermission coming up right here on your home for RPI Hockey, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy.
In downtown Troy, it's got to go through any of the holes in the board. It's looking pretty good. He scores! $20 gift certificate to Ryan's Wake in downtown Troy for Troy Violet. And hey, if you'd like to see more of those beautiful Honda vehicles like the one on the ice, stop by Rensselaer Honda, 770 Hoosick Road in Troy, or visit on the web at getahonda.net. Rensselaer Honda, we're simply better. Now let's direct your attention to the west end of the field house. It's time for the money grab in the SEFQ money machine. Tonight's contestant, Terry Simmons, has 30 seconds. Grab all the cash that he can. He gets to keep it. And SEFQ will match that amount and donate it to the ARC of Rensselaer County. Here we go, 30 seconds from now. The money grab in the SEFQ money machine. We're halfway there, Terry. Keep grabbing. You got 10 seconds. Last 5, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Shut it off. Let's have a round of applause for Terry Simmons, tonight's contestant in the money grab in the SEFQ money machine. SEFQ will let him keep what he grabbed, and then they'll also donate that amount to the ARC of Rensselaer County. And do you remember, for all your banking, insurance, and investment needs, visit SEFQ, Hoosick Street in Troy, or on campus at the Rensselaer Union. SEFQ. Rensselaer Hockey would like to thank the following sponsors: GE, Moe's, SEFQ, CDP HP, The Ruck, Boucher and Clark Financial Group, Janney Montgomery Scott, Price Chopper, AFSCO Fence, Yankee Trails, Red Front Pizza, Tri-City Rentals, Dunkin' Donuts, Army, Troy Cabinet Makers, Ben & Jerry's, Warren W. Fain, William J. Keller & Sons Construction, and Tri-City Valley Cats, all proud sponsors of RPI Hockey. RPI Hockey would like to thank the Stadium Cafe, Rensselaer Summer Programs, the Nigro Companies, Rensselaer Alumni Association, Patterson, Sampson, Ginsburg, and Griffin Law Firm, Sodexo, Subway, the Hilton Garden Inn, the Recovery Sports Grill, E. Stewart Jones, Hacker and Murphy, Hockey Giant, Hampton Inn and Suites, the RPI Bookstore, Rensselaer Honda, Chipotle, Domino's Pizza, the United Group, Freihofer, Turner Construction, Saratoga Eagle Sales and Service, and National Grid, all proud sponsors of RPI Hockey.
Fieldhouse on the campus of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York, as we get set to bring you the second period of action between the RPI Engineers and the Clarkson Golden Knights. Your score after one period of play is RPI 3 and Clarkson 2. Before we get started with the second period, I'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides the funding for WRPI and all the club-related activity of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of RPI hockey, football, and baseball. Just a reminder, WRPI is on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to WRPI.org. And you can pick up WRPI's broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as WRPI is broadcasting. We provide that broadcast on our internet stream. That is WRPI.org. Face-offs in this game, actually 12-10 in favor of Clarkson. That's been a point of pride for the Engineers recently. They've been able to come away with face-off victories. Riley Bourbonnais was only in the face-off circle for one of those. He's been really the prime guy for RPI. He lost the one face-off that he was in there for. Zach Schrader 3 and 3. Mark Miller is 3 and 4. Mark McGowan 2 and 4. So Jeff Danello, the top face-off player in the first period. He won all 4 of the face-offs that he had, so he's really been the difference on the draw. But RPI still with a 2-0 lead. We do have a change in net for the Golden Knights, as appears that Steve Perry's night has ended prematurely.
There was, I can still use the bumpers, right?
Yeah, you can still use those bumpers.
Okay, good. I am all set up.
You can't not. It's fun.
It's fun, you're right.
Plus, Journey's awesome.
Journey is awesome.
Greg Lewis, a junior out of Mars, Pennsylvania, has an overall record this season of 4-5. Although 2 of those 4 wins were shutouts,
One of the wins was against RPI.
and one of the wins was against RPI. The save percentage for Mr. Lewis, .913 save percentage and a .231 goals against average. So Clarkson switching up their defensive front already here to start the second period.
And Clarkson, talking about the last time out, Steve Perry took the loss at Harvard. He made 18 saves in his first game back and didn't look too hot in that first period, so he comes out. Wasn't awful, but I guess Golden Knights want to shake things up here. And an attempt to try and win this one, or underway in the second period. RPI and Clarkson, puck gloved down along the far wall. Golden Knights trying to clear. It's picked up by Miller. He stick handles for a second, knocked away by Summers. And now carried out to center, flipped ahead for Zarbo. Zarbo far side, the younger brother of former RPI engineer Mark Zarbo, is flipped out to center again by the Engineers. Summers has it there. There's actually been 3 Zarbos, 2 of them played for Clarkson. And the last one, Joe, a senior this year. It's the end of the ECAC Zarbo reign, as the puck is in deep, and it's going to be icing on the Golden Knights here.
It would be Joe Zarbo out of Grandel in New York,
right,
just outside of Buffalo.
All 3 of them from that area, of course.
Home of the Zarbo clan. Face-off coming up down in the Clarkson end.
I believe the other one was Matt.
That sounds right.
Matt Zarbo, I think he played for Clarkson as well.
We can go with that. Face-off coming up just to the right of Greg Lewis with 19:17 left in the second period. RPI leads Clarkson 3-2.
Draw to the right of the new goalie, Greg Lewis. As the puck is tapped into the corner, Summers plays it around to the near side for Todd Christian. He did not play against RPI in the first meeting. Christian, a junior from Norwalk, Connecticut. There's a tie-up in the corner, comes free to Geiger. He'll try the far side wall. Bubella keeps it in at the point. Gets some help from Schrader. Geiger back on it at the far side boards. Knocked down by Bubella. Into the middle, Liljegren. Stick handling. Flips a backhander, and it's tipped wide off of Lewis. To the near boards they go. Bubella trying to get on it, playing behind. Picked off by Geiger. He'll chip it up the near wall. Pinching up the boards is Bradley. And it's steered out to center, collected, and moved along up the far boards in deep by Brett Gervais. Behind the RPI goal it goes. Christian trying to center. Pop free to the top of the near circle. Now back to the point. Pirog keeps it alive. Knocked deep by Christian. Behind the goal, Leonard shoots it off of a referee. They'll come right back to him behind the cage. He ties up there with Jeff Danello. Now Pirog, far corner. Leonard trying to knock it away. Picked up by the Engineers. Jacob Laliberté, the team's point leader, coming into play with 18. He's now been matched by Drew Melanson. 18 points apiece for those two. Still fighting for it. Laliberté goes down, gets back up, poked at by Wilson, controlled by Clarkson. Amorosa near side for A.J. Fawston as one of the 2 goals for Clarkson. Puck comes trickling in on Kasdorf. He'll cover up there, get a stoppage.
It was a good opportunity there for Clarkson. It was a good idea. They tried a headman pass to Sam Vigneault, but it went off of his skate, ended up directly on net. It was just too easy for Kasdorf to fall on that one and get the whistle, get the face-off. Coming to his right with 17:50 left in the second period, RPI with a 3-2 lead over the Golden Knights from Clarkson.
Draw to the right of Kasdorf. It'll be Vigneault out there for Clarkson up against Bourbonnais, and Bourbonnais with the win. Wrap it around far side for Wood. Stopped up, but he spins it out to center. Touch pass for DeVito, looking for Bourbonnais, who had to slow up after he missed the pass. He'll shoot it in anyway. Stopped there by Greg Lewis. Clarkson out to center ice. So intercepted by DeVito. Shoots it far side for Wood. Into the zone, top of the near circle. Wood, a wrist shot right on, and a save by Lewis. And then Bourbonnais topples his man over the back of the Clarkson goaltender. We're going to get some pushing and shoving now.
Well, that's a big save for Greg Lewis. That's for two reasons. One, you always want to get a good save under your belt when you're just coming into the game. You got one right there. And the second thing is that in the first period, those shots that RPI was taking were being rebounded by Steve Perry. He was giving up juicy rebounds for the Engineers to pounce on and get opportunities with. That's how they scored their second goal, the Drew Melanson goal, where he just kept giving up a couple of juicy rebounds, and eventually Drew Melanson pounced on it, put one in off of his back. But Greg Lewis equal to the task there. He stops it and gets the face-off in front instead of having to reset and get himself in a position to stop another shot.
No penalties come out of the skirmish after the whistle. 17:27 left in the second. 3-2 RPI leading Clarkson here. Draw coming near side of the Clarkson zone. The M&M line on the ice for the Engineers. Tie up along the near boards. Puck finally comes free, and it's moved out to center. Luke Karate on it for RPI. He'll shoot it off the far wall, picked away by Summers. Had it lost in his skates for a second, but keeps on moving. Gets it in deep. Stopped there by Bradley Bell, or make it Nanny rather. Centering pass out in front, poked away from Gervais. Near point Geiger. Feed far side, shot and a stop by Kasdorf. Puck still loose at the side of the cage to go behind. Now Zarbo off the near boards for Geiger, takes another shot. Then he kind of caught the underneath it and shot it over the top. Now thrown through the middle, poked to the near circle. Nanny trying to chop it out of the zone. All Clarkson here. They have the Engineers on their heels early on in the second period. Miller spinning around in the near corner, trying to move it near side for Bell. Comes free to Zarbo, tried to dangle around Karate. Karate takes him out of the play. Puck comes free to the near side. Geiger pinches up the boards to keep it alive. Knocked out of the air and carried on by Melanson. That's going to be a high stick. Bit of a late whistle, but the right call. Face-off coming back in the RPI zone. Engineers will be able to change, however.
Yeah, nice play by Melanson. It's not easy to reach up and grab one like that, but unfortunately you're not allowed to put your stick that high to play the puck. So face-off will stay in the RPI zone, but as you mentioned, fresh set of wheels out there for the Engineers, which is key because Clarkson with a little bit of pressure here with 16:26 left in the second period. And the Golden Knights trail by 1.
Defensive zone draw win for a second by the Engineers. And they give it away, but get it right back. Schrader clears the center in the air. Stopped there by Amorosa. Amorosa spinning around far side of his own zone. Backhands it ahead. Looking for Danello. Picked off by Schrader. Schrader at center just shoots it in from a standstill. It'll be picked up in the near corner by Howden. James Howden behind the goal. Liljegren took it away for a second. Clarkson back on it to center. Danello. Quick outlet pass far side. Looking for Pirog. He gets bumped off the puck by Leonard. Around to the near corner for Bradley. Schrader trying to help up the near boards for Babella. And now Babella will carry behind his own cage. Being harassed by Danello. Leaves it in the corner for Bradley. Bradley back on it. Far side pass skips by Leonard. Picked up far side by Christian. Christian trying to play it down low. Centering pass, high slot. Pirog bumped off the puck. Comes trickling in on Kasdorf, and he'll cover up there.
It's a dangerous spot now for the Engineers as the momentum definitely shifting in Clarkson's direction. They've got to do a better job of keeping the puck on the perimeter. That's how they are strong defensively. They've got to let their goaltender get a good look at the puck. They were fortunate right there that it was kind of stripped off of a stick and just kind of trickled in on him and allowed him to stop play.
Shots are 16-11 Clarkson here. With a whistle, we're going to do this face-off over again.
And that makes the shot total for the second period here 5-1 in favor of the Golden Knights.
Face off to the left of Kasdorf. Waiting for the puck to be dropped. And there it is. One by Clarkson. One-timer coming. Blocked by the Liberté. Trying to move it ahead quickly. Too far out in front of Neal. This is going to be icing on RPI.
That was a good thought. Neal was the one jumping on it. RPI over the last couple of seasons has been caught with opportunities like that for the other team where they take a shot from the point and it gets blocked immediately. That's something that if the blocking team can pounce on it, they get an odd man rush going the other way. RPI trying to take advantage with a quick pass, but unfortunately the pass was too far ahead of Neal.
Near side draw, RPI zone, McGowan and Vigneault. Now both centermen get tossed. A lot of pushing and shoving going along. on the near side, I should say the center ice hash marks. Finally, they drop it. Fossen flips it deep around to the far corner. Wilson trying to get away from Vigneault. Neal trying to scoop it, goes high in the air, comes straight down. I haven't seen a puck go that high in a while. But out to center, the Engineers move it. Tansey, far side of his own zone for DeHaas. DeHaas crosses center and dumps in. Puck bouncing around behind the RPI goal, picked up by Prapavesis. Thought about a pass far side. He'll try the near side now for La Liberté. Tapped ahead by Neal into the near corner. Being watched by DeHaas. Neal gets on it, gets bumped, but steps through the check. Trying to feed it near side from McGowan. It'll be played behind by Fossen. Fossen now dangerously in front of his own net, but gets it along out to center. Fossen into the RPI zone, stops at the blue line, far side. Down low for Vigneault. Getting knocked down was Vigneault by Karate. Kept in along the far boards, by Dulpe. And now here's Prapavesis in the near corner of his own end. Out to center for the Liberté. Couldn't control the pass. Head for McGowan, who just flicks it to the Clarkson line, right back to Dulpe. Off the far side boards by Karate, back to center ice. Some neutral zone play here as Summers over skates, but he gets back to it and finds Geiger along the near wall neutral zone. Ahead for Powers into the RPI zone, and offside are the Golden Knights here. We'll have a stoppage, 14:05 left in the second period. It's 3-2 RPI. You are listening to live coverage of RPI Hockey, 91.5 FM WRPI Troy.
Aslan just a touch offside there, maybe a stride or two into the zone. Clarkson still with the momentum here in the second period, about 6 minutes in. We've seen most of the work being done down in the RPI end of the ice.
Puck bouncing in the RPI far circle. Leonard tried to play it behind, gave it away. Centering pass Zarbo through everybody. Kept in by Amoroso at the far point. No, it hopped right by him. Couldn't control a bouncing puck. Amoroso spinning around in the near side of the neutral zone. Dumps it back in. Leonard there, tapping it to the near corner. Bradley trying to get on it as he does battle with Zarbo. Bourbonnais up the boards, trying to get it by a couple of skates. Can't do so. Stopped there by Bradley in the near corner once more. We'll try the near side again. Kept in by Amoroso. Letting it run deep is Gervais. Into the corner, Leonard takes over. Scooping it to the far side for Wood. Engineers having a bit of trouble clearing their own end here. It'll be shot, but gloved down in the slot. Zarbo walking in, poked away by Leonard. He'll take a look around. RPI trying to break quickly, but Leonard carries up slowly. He'll cross center and dump it in. Roll it to the far corner for Howden. Quickly pressured and hit by Wood, but he gets the pass away. Pirog's aerial pass near side, a bad one. Intercepted by Miller. Now it's swatted back out to center and all the way down the ice. Will not have the legs for icing as Jared Wilson's back to pick it up for RPI. Wilson, the freshman from Calgary, Alberta, stops behind his own net. 12:52 left in the second. There's Melanson hanging out like a cherry picker all the way down the ice. RPI trying to stretch things here. All the way down it goes. Melanson doing the job there. Trying to center on the backhand. Good play defensively to break that up. Nanny in the far corner now. Spinning around there. Trying to kick it to himself. Melanson to help out. He's on it now. Pinned against the boards by Tansey. Far boards. Tansey had it for a second. Lost it. Top of the circle. Miller, a shot that goes wide. Near side circle now. Going to be controlled by the Engineers. Melanson. All the way to the near point, feeding it far side. Down low, Prapavesis. Back to Melanson, a one-timer save. Net was kicked up in the air for a second, but kept in the zone by Nanny. Far side circle, Melanson gets hit. Pirog trying to pry it away. Kept in at the blue line by RPI. This group looks to be at the end of a shift as Miller doesn't quite have the jets right now, but the Engineers continue to forecheck. Now Clarkson will move it out to center ice. Pirog, far side, diving play by Prapavesis to keep it in the neutral zone. Partial change for RPI. Schrader can't keep it in. Or the Engineers may have been able to break there. Back comes Clarkson, however. Christian to the RPI line, gave it away to Karate. Luke Karate back to center. Crosses center and rips it in. It'll roll around behind the goal. Stopped by Lewis. Picked up there off the base of the net on the centering pass from behind the goal. It came off the stick of Karate, but no one in front to slam that one in as Lewis caught out of his net momentarily. Back in are the Engineers and in deep Liljegren into the near corner. He's tied up, trying to work it free to the point. It does come free there. Bradley Bell stick handling. He's tied up by Fossen. Help comes in the way of Babella. His wrist shot blocked. Picked up at the point by Liljegren. Far side Karate, moving it down low. Schrader lets it run for Babella. Near side hash marks. Back to the point for Bell. Wrist shot blocked. And Fossen will move it out to center on the shield. Moved out to center ice. Joseph, a shot that was blocked by Karate. Picked up far side of the cage by Bell. Leaves it for Karate. Up the far side boards. Touch pass Liljer, and he's tripped up and goes down. Schrader comes out to center, 1-on-3. He'll just cross the red line and dump it in. Stop behind the goal by Lewis. Moved out by Clarkson here. It's Summers to center ice. Tied up there. Lost it to McGowan. McGowan with the go-ahead goal in this game. RPI with a 3-2 lead. Here he comes into the zone. Top of the circle. Shot was blocked. Picked up by McGowan in the near corner. McGowan has it taken over as it's tied up there. Summers taken away by Geiger. Now Summers again, stick handling in front of his own goal. He'll try the far side, throws it high in the air, just misses the scoreboard, comes down in the middle of the RPI zone, trickling in wide of goal. Kasdorf's going to try and cover. He had to deal with some legs, including those of his teammate Chris Bradley, but he's able to cover up the trickling puck.
10-11 left in the second period. RPI still with a 3-2 lead over the Golden Knights. Trying to flip the ice surface just a little bit here. Get a little more pressure down in the Clarkson in the last 4 or 5 minutes or so. And some good play by Drew Melanson and his line, especially as they were able to keep the zone for a good long time and get some decent scoring opportunities out of it as well.
Shot off the draw by Clarkson. Will hop up on the back of the net. Picked away by the Golden Knights. Zarbo turning and shooting. It was blocked by bodies in front. McGowan and McGinnity there. Loose puck picked up by Leonard. He'll flip it all the way down the ice. Rolling into Clarkson territory. Back to pick it up is Howden. Howden leaves it behind for Amorosa. Amorosa off the leg of his own teammate. Comes down to the blue line. And a bad play there. Into the zone comes DeVito. Near circle. Trying to walk right in. Amorosa poked it away for a second. To the near corner they go. DeVito tied up there with Amorosa, as is Howden and Wood, who's taking a couple shots in the back from Howden as they continue to battle for the puck in the corner. Digging away 3 Golden Knights there as Gervais joins the effort, with Bourbonnais waiting behind. Out comes Clarkson with the puck. Zarbo ahead. McGinnity will just flip it high in the air into the near corner. Krapovessis on it. Gets bumped by Zarbo. Touch pass off the wall. DeVito for Bourbonnais. A chance for RPI. A bad change for Clarkson. 3-on-2 could have transpired there if RPI didn't bottle things up themselves. And now a quick outlet pass comes to Christian into the RPI zone near side. Takes a hit. Lost the puck. Trying to dig it free. Pirog. Centering pass broken up by Wood to the far corner. Summers pinching in. Now the referee gets in the way in the far corner. Miller is all tied up. Puck still being shielded by Miller. Gave it away. Gervais trying to move it back to the point. Make it Danello rather. Danello all the way back to the point. He's bear hugged by Karate. Does work it deep. Around to the near corner it goes. Nanny plays it behind for Wilson, and now Miller. Miller up the far boards. Chopping at it is Wood. Gets it out to center. Tracked down by Geiger. Geiger flips it back into the RPI end. Stick save made by Kasdorf. Took a funny hop at the end. He's able to tap it to the side of the cage. Wilson, near side corner of his own zone. Take a look around. Finds Miller. Miller tied up. Shot comes from the top of the circle. Joseph's ripped that one. The sophomore from Whitby, Ontario. Just 2 goals on the season for him, but he had a good crack there off the defensive zone turnover on the Engineers.
One thing RPI's got to do better here in the second period is win some draws. That's really been a weakness here in the second period. Clarkson doing a good job of winning draws in the RPI end.
8:11 left in the second. RPI up 1. Shot by Tansey. Hits bodies in front. Free to the far wall. Shot out to center by Liljegren. Golden Knights take over there once more. Now Tansey into the RPI zone. Off the backboards, off the side of the net. Turning and firing in front. Tansey trying to sweep at it. Saved by Kasdorf, who's in good position to make that stop. And deny the Clarkson blue liner, Kevin Tansey Jr. on a Hammond, Ontario.
And it's once again right there, a face-off in the RPI end, won by Clarkson, and creates a possession and a scoring opportunity. RPI's going to be just a lot more sharper in the face-off circle.
Draw to the left of Kasdorf here. Puck is dropped along the far side. Pushed to the wall. Kept in there by Aslan. Behind the goal, Leonard. He'll try the far side boards. Melanson spins away from Aslan. Puck comes off of Aslan in on Kasdorf, and he'll cover up once more. We'll have another stoppage in play.
7:41 remaining in the second period. No goals or penalties here in the middle frame so far. RPI still hanging on to that 3-2 lead. We've had some back and forth momentum. Looks to be shifting back in Clarkson's direction, and yet another face-off in the RPI zone.
Face off, Clarkson trying to get on it. They move it back to the point. Shot comes through traffic. Kick saved by Kasdorf. Picked up and moved back to the point. Amoroso a try. That's way high and wide. Now Howden along the far boards keeps it alive. Aslan tied up, lost it, shot into the, looks like it was into the bench area, but it's off the glass and out to center. Carried right back in by Howden, who shoots it deep. Chris Bradley tied up, but plays it back behind. Took a carom off the boards. Leonard plays it back behind for Bradley again. Some forecheck pressure coming from Yannick Aslan. Out to center it goes. Shot right back in by Dalpe. Leonard has it for RPI. Uses the net as a screen to move it up to center for Schrader. Finally back into the Clarkson end of the ice. It'll be tracked down by Vigneault. Amorosa ahead for Fossen. He can't control the pass. Bradley Bell to his defensive partner Karate. Tipped along by Schrader in deep. Race for the puck. Gaining on Amorosa is Liljegren, and now they tie up in the near corner. Geiger over there as well, the captain for this Clarkson team. Junior captain. Puck out to center and all the way down. It will not be icing. May have taken a deflection off an RPI player. Karate shoots it near side for Babella. Out to center, connects to Schrader. Zach Schrader up ahead for Liljegren. Into the zone, takes a wrist shot that ramps up the stick of Summers and into the netting. We'll have a stoppage in play. 6:19 to go in the second. Still 3-2 RPI.
Once again, it's just a matter of winning those faceoffs, like a free possession whenever you can grab control. And now the Engineers have an opportunity to try and pick one up in their attacking zone. Jacob Liberté easing in for the Engineers against Brett Gervais.
Defensive zone draw for Clarkson. DeHaas left it in the far corner. And now up the middle. Tanzia quickly ahead for Zarbo into the near circle. Wrist shot save. Rebound pops for the far circle. Good defensive coverage by the Engineers as they'll flip it right back down the ice. Picked up by Tansey there. Far side circle. Pressure from McGowan. Plays it off the back of his own net. That could be trouble. Picked up by Prapavesis in the near circle. Centering pass. Blind backhand into the middle. Neal trying to keep it in the zone. Can't do so. Moved out by Zarbo, who's one-on-one now with Wilson. Waiting for reinforcements. Poked off his stick by the long reach of Wilson. And moved along by the Engineers. Neal gets upended at center. And it looks to be a clean hit from here. And back comes Gervais. Gervais into the zone. Centering pass through everybody to the far corner. McGowan chops it off the boards. Kept in by Howden. No, it skipped by him out to center. Amorosa has it there. Amorosa, D-to-D pass for Howden. Up the far boards, tipped in deep by Pirog. Prapavesis back to get it behind his own goal. Prapavesis near side. DeVito feeding up the boards, looking for Bourbonnais. Intercepted and turned back around by Clarkson. Christian into the zone. Had to avoid one of his teammates falling down. That was Pirog. Engineers take over. Shot near side, DeVito out to center. Long outlet pass. Broken up by Howden. Plays it to the RPI line. Christian swats it out of the air. Clarkson's offside. Danilo goes down, trying to stick handle, but he was in an offside position to begin with.
4:57 left in the second period. After a 5-goal flurry from both these teams in the first period, neither team has been able to dent the twine here. About 15 minutes into the middle frame, so it's become a little bit more of a chess match. Both teams getting their opportunities, both teams kind of getting their momentum shifts here in a second, but still no scoring in the middle 20 minutes.
Golden Knights doubling up the Engineers 22-11 in the shots department. RPI still the lead. Lou Nanny has it near side neutral zone. Shooting off the wall, looking for Miller, taken over by Sam Vigneault. Far side of the Clarkson zone, kept in by Miller there. Behind for Vigneault. He gets pressured by a couple of Engineers. Puck comes free to the circle, helped far side by Fossen, and now to center for Summers. Summers to the RPI line, off of the stick of Leonard. And Fossen has it, throwing it in front for Vigneault. Played back to the point for Summers. Wrist shot comes to flex on its way through. A stop was made and is moved back out to center ice by Nanny. Ahead for Melanson. Behind him, puck tapped into the zone. Shot off from Miller. As played pinball for a bit there, but now Vigneault takes over for Clarkson and he'll slow things down. Quickly ahead to the RPI line, tapped into the zone by Fossen. RPI back on it with a line change. Now Babella into the zone with speed. Near side circle shot save made by Lewis. Behind the goal, still there. And now pulled to the corner by Tansey. Back behind for Geiger. Has some space to work in the near side of his own zone. Closed down by Babella. Flips it out to center. Karate tried to glove it. and it should be a hand pass on the Engineers. It will be. And we'll have a stoppage here. 3:47 left in the second. Still 3-2 RPI.
That shot by Milos Rubella, just RPI's second official shot on goal in the period, but it's not really a good indication of how this period's gone. Clarkson has pretty much controlled play for the most of the period. If you want to say one of these teams controlled the period, well, you probably have to say Clarkson. But RPI's had their opportunities. They've only had 2 shots on goal, but I'd say they'd have probably 4 or 5 scoring opportunities in the second period.
Bradley Bell off the defensive zone face-off win, shoots it far side for Liljegren, who lost the puck. Shot comes in a high shot. Leaping to make the blocker save was Kasdorf. Near side boards, karate battles there with McGennity. And now Bradley Bell behind the cage. Freshman from Sudbury, Ontario is Bradley Bell. No points for him so far this year. Engineers trying to clear it out near side for Bubella. Off the boot of Bell, he'll spin around and flip it deep. Stopped behind the cage by Lewis. Schrader trying to beat his man to the puck. Didn't. Tansey plays it far side. Geiger, making it to Hawes rather, through center. Shoots it in off the back wall. Stopped next to the net by Kasdorf. Plays it far corner for Wilson. Behind for Prapavesis. Helps it further for Bubella. Amorosa had it there. Took a chop at it. Jumping into the play. Pirog. And that one is stopped on the right pad of Kasdorf. Out to center. Engineers clear. Amorosa has it there. 2:48 to play in the second. Hit along the far boards on Christian. Shot goes wide from a tight angle. Kept in along the near point momentarily. Now it's moved out to center by Matt Neal. Clarkson takes over. Howden, indirect pass off the far boards. Wilson has it there. Out to center. Wilson gets knocked down. And it's picked up again by Danilo. Christian trying to back into the zone. Poked free by the reach of Prapavesis out to center. Amorosa has it once more. High in the air into the far corner. That one comes down in the corner. Wilson helps it along the near boards past Christian, who now ties up with the Liberté. Down low once more. Prapavesis trying to poke it free. McGowan's there as well. Sweeps it to the far side for Wilson. Wilson off the glass out to center all the way down. This should be icing on the Engineers. And a very tired group will have to draw things up in their own zone with 2:02 to play. Potential timeout time for RPI coach Seth Eppert. We'll see.
This might be a good time to use it, especially considering the Engineers' struggles on the draw in their own end. Yep, they are going to call their timeout. So this is something I learned last week when I was surprised that Colgate had new players out for the draw after an icing call, and they called timeout. I don't know if this is just new this year or is very new recently, but you are allowed to change players after icing, but you must use your timeout.
Oh,
that's something I didn't realize until I was there in Hamilton last week, taking a look and saying, boy, those aren't the same players that they had out there last time.
So the Engineers are changing here, right?
I guess that's live and learn. If you're RPI, it's probably a good time to use that timeout. You don't want to give one up here to late in the second period. You've weathered the storm so far. You just want to at least get your team the opportunity to take a lead into the third period, and in order to do that, they're going to need to be sharp here in the final 2 minutes with this, once again, a face-off coming up in their own zone, and it's hard to underscore that Clarkson has been completely dominant on the draw in the second period.
So kind of a mixed line here. Miller stays out there for the face-off, but he's out there with DeVito and Wood. Leonard and Bradley, the defensemen. The Vigneault line out for Clarkson with Fawcett and Josephs. Engineers clear but not out. Kept in at the blue line. In the slot, trying to turn and shoot. No, drop pass. Summers a drive. Stopped by Kasdorf, who was camped out at the edge of the crease, and he's able to hold on to that one. No rebound.
And that's certainly a lot closer to the Jason Kasdorf that RPI fans have come to rely upon. I wouldn't say he's been 100% sharp in this period. He's given up probably more rebounds than Coach Seth Eppert would like to see from his junior netminder, but he was sharp there to get it, trap it, and get the whistle.
Face-off coming up. Now Miller gets tossed from the dot. Liljegren in there now against Vigneault. Sits on the dot for a second. It's underneath the skate of Liljegren, who's fine to stand out. Don't put your glove on it, though. He doesn't. And it comes free to the corner. Vigneault gets shoved up against the boards by Leonard. Underneath Leonard now, trying to play it behind for Bradley, and does. Man breaking is Nanny, trying to find him all the way down the ice. Will it be icing again? Yes, it's been that kind of period here. Neither team able to find too much momentum. Clarkson clearly with the advantage, of course, with all the shots they've had and the offensive zone possession time.
Yeah, late in this period, it's been basically all Clarkson. It's been down in the RPI end. We've seen 3 or 4 face-offs in a row to either side of Jason Kasdorf. RPI really just at this point looking to get out of this period.
Face-off coming up to the left of Kasdorf. Centerman scrapping once again, and both are getting tossed, Gervais and Miller. Liljegren now against McGinnity, cleanly won by Liljegren into the corner, but McGinnity jumps right on it after they tie up there. McGinnity knocked down by Miller, who continues to go at it with him. McGinnity trying to pull it off the boards, taken away by Liljegren to the far corner. Behind for Bradley. Zarbo pressuring, puck out to center. This one may not have the legs for icing. Well weighted that time from Bradley, as RPI will get the change, but back quickly into the zone is McGinnity, who flips it deep. Karate stops behind his own net. 1 minute left in the second period. RPI still up 3-2. Out to center with the puck. Howden near side for Amorosa. Amorosa far side into the zone. Christian knocked down by Liljegren. Flipped out to center ice. Howden far side for Pirog. Back to Amorosa near side neutral zone. Crosses center and rings it in. Around to the far corner. Liljegren trying to jump on it. He pins up there with Christian, taking away Liljegren. Ahead for McGowan. RPI finally a chance to break with speed into the offensive end. Babella lost the puck on the stick handle. Poke to the near corner. Bell there. Hands it off for Babella. Bell back on it. Back to Babella. Swing and a miss. Puck behind the goal. Babella getting back on the puck. Tansey takes it away. Jumping right back in is Neal. Corner. Back to the point. It was knocked down. Looking for Bell, who throws a shoulder into his man. Kept in by McGowan, who is backing up Bell along the near point. They scrap away along the near wall with 2 seconds to go in the period. A shot comes, it was blocked. And that will do it for the second. No goals, but RPI fine with that. Maybe not the play RPI wanted, but certainly the result. Engineers still have the lead now after 2.
Well, shots in that period well in favor of the Golden Knights. My math is correct. It was 14-2. Leading to a 25-12 shot advantage for Clarkson, but RPI standing tall defensively in that one. They had their opportunities to score. I don't want to reiterate that one really. 2 shots on goal, but I'd say probably, including that flurry at the end, maybe 6 or 7 opportunities for RPI to score during the period. If you want to assign a winner to that period, it's certainly Clarkson, but RPI still where they need to be. They are in the lead. They're 20 minutes away from getting the crucial first part of their weekend completed. They need to beat Clarkson in order to be here next weekend. They are doing that right now, but they certainly have work to do in the third period if they're going to maintain this lead. And from their perspective, they certainly want to be enhancing that lead during the final 20 minutes.
Thanks, Tom. We will step aside once again. Your score after 2 periods of play is RPI 3 and Clarkson 2. You're listening to live coverage of RPI Hockey, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy.
At the RPI Houston Fieldhouse, providing young skaters with the opportunity to learn and develop skating skills and now perform at an elite level in the capital region. This year, the Houstonets synchronized skating team skate with precision as they move as one. So please welcome the Houstonets, coached by Bobby Allen, Donna Warkovich, and Diane Captain. The Houstonets, Alex DeLillo, Amanda and Laura Shadlock, Emily Rando, Elizabeth Bernardi, Tia Modelise, Emma Kimball, Molly Ormsby, Angela Nichols, Samantha Early, Sophia, Mara, Kayla Guthrie, Courtney Gonzalez, Aileen Colligan, Mary Roddy, Mackenzie Rourke, Mackenzie Julian, Emily Balmer, Amanda Vitao, Sarah Wells, Elvira Tiagi, Kaylee Millar, Grace Huffam, Brady Hill, Isabella Martin, Kendall Dollard, Maeve Owens, Bailey Thibodeau, Manasa Bala, Corinne Rossi Moon, Prashi Mishra, Mira Bala, and Emily Kinnear. Thank you, ladies. Hey, fans, now if you've purchased a puck to participate in the Ryan's Wake Chuck-a-Puck contest, please move down near the ice, near the glass, and get ready to participate in the Chuck-a-Puck contest. If you got them, let's go in 3, 2, 1. Chuck your pucks. And remember, the puck that ends up closest to the center ice spot wins a gift certificate to Ryan's Wake in downtown Troy. Got one pretty close. All right, let's pick a winner. Puck number 138, you're the winner of a gift certificate to Ryan's Wake in downtown Troy. Thank you for participating in the Ryan's Wake Chuck-a-Puck contest. And tonight we've partnered with Rensselaer County Stop DWI to raise awareness about DWI and the tragedies that far too often result from it. So please give your attention to the following message.
Please don't put yourself, your family, or your friends in harm's way.
joined by Perry Lascaris. You're listening to all of this on your home for Engineers Hockey, 91.5 FM. WRPI Troy, your score after 2 periods of play is RPI 3 and Clarkson 2. Before we get started with the third period, I'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union. They provide the funding for WRPI and all the club-related activity of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of RPI hockey, football, and baseball. Just a reminder, WRPI is on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to WRPI.org. And you can pick up WRPI's broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as WRPI is broadcasting. We provide that broadcast on our internet feed. Once again, that is WRPI.org.
You want me to say something?
You are welcome to say whatever comes to your mind within reason.
Okay, that's good. It's a good sticking point there. Anyway, we'll run on the scoring real quick to get you caught up. If you're just joining us, RPI leading Clarkson by a 3-2 score. It was RPI freshman Victor Liljegren picking up his 7th of the season, 4:07 of the first period, assist to Luke Karate and Mike Cramp of Esses. Clarkson tied things up at 6:51. A.J. Foss's 5th of the season from Kevin Tansey and Joe Zarbo. Pat McGinnity gave Clarkson a brief 2-1 lead. Assist to James Howden and Zarbo, and then RPI tied things up, at 14:01 of the first. Melanson scoring at Stu Melanson, his 7th of the season for Mark Miller and Lou Nanny. RPI regained a 3-2 lead, 18:10 of the first. Mark McGowan scoring his 6th of the year from Matt Neal and Jacob Robertet. That's the only scoring in this one. Jason Kasdorf, 23 saves so far, including 14 in that second period. Steve Perry made 7 stops, gave up 3 goals in the first. He was replaced by Greg Lewis, who was forced to make only 2 saves in the second.
If you're the Engineers, you wanted to probably try and make, or be forced to try and make a few more than 2 saves here in the third period. Nonetheless, RPI still with their 1-goal edge that they took late in the first period. As we've mentioned before, this is a must-win game for the Engineers if they are going to have home ice for the playoffs, and they are in position now, but they certainly have 20 minutes of hard work ahead of them if they're going to maintain this lead.
Face-off to come as we get set for period number 3. We'll have, of course, tomorrow's game broadcast live, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy. And then the playoffs, wherever the Engineers may be, you can listen to those games as well. Bit of a delay to start the third. And there's a discussion going on here between Appert and one of the linesmen on the near side. And I couldn't tell you what it's about. Maybe Tom can guess something. You want to guess something?
I could be talking about where they're going to have a drink after the game's over. I couldn't. I mean, that's.
They're laughing about it. It's Dan Taggart down there, and he's laughing. I'm not sure if Seth is. Can't see his face, but anyway. Maybe they just wanted to have a laugh. I don't know. There's 20 minutes.
I'm going to go with a clarification on what they can and can't do based on whatever the pregame.
Sure.
Whatever the pregame rulings were from the referees. There were several penalties called in the first period. There were none called in the second period. There were no goals in the second period. So maybe just a primer on exactly what is legit in this game.
Yep. No penalties yet. No power plays, I should say, yet for RPI. Clarkson's 1 for 3. There was a matching minors there at one point in the first, but we are underway here in the third, and it is Bradley Bell dropping it off for Karate in his own zone up the near boards and tipped in, looking for Melanson. He couldn't quite turn on the Jets in time. Back come the Golden Knights the other way into the zone. Offside was Zarbo. Shot comes anyway. As McGinnity carried in, we'll have a draw coming outside the RPI end, just 26 seconds into the third period.
We want to be sure to recognize tonight former RPI player and head coach Gary Kearns, who is in the building. We are told this evening he unfortunately lost his son Kevin last week, and his funeral was last week. So all of our thoughts and prayers are with the Kearns family here this evening.
Certainly. As we are back to action, it's Schrader ahead for Liljegren. Good connection into the zone, top of the circle. Liljegren trying to walk to the net. It was poked away by Howden into the corner. Schrader trying to get to it. Now underneath Liljegren in the corner. He's tied up still with Howden there. Liljegren trying to move it behind the goal. He's held onto a bit by Pirog. No call. Shot back into the zone by Leonard. North Country always kind seemingly to the Golden Knights in the penalty department, as it was earlier this season when they were awarded 5 power plays. Not so on the return trip so far, just the one penalty called on the Golden Knights and no power plays to speak of. Anyway, here's Amorosa. Spinning around in the corner, behind for Howden. Down the middle, good connection. Although it's not held onto by Vigneault. Now they're offside and they'll have to touch up. RPI takes over. Liljegren. Prapavesis off the far boards. La Liberté, did he get a touch? No. Icing on RPI. 18:26 on the clock here in the third. No shots to speak of in the period. And RPI still clinging to that 3-2 lead.
A little sloppy play early from RPI. They had an opportunity there to take advantage of the delayed offsides on Clarkson, and they almost ended up turning it over off of a weak forecheck effort by the Golden Knights. They end up icing it instead. So just some weak passing and lackadaisical play from RPI early in the third.
Shot from the top of the circle off the draw for Clarkson. Was blocked by bodies in front. Now Neal clears to center. Backtracking to his own end, DeHaas goes D to Tansey. He'll roll one in on goal from center ice. Kasdorf will cover, and we'll have another stoppage here. Face-offs, we talked about it with Ed. 22-18, Clarkson after 2 periods, pretty even in that department.
Yeah, that seems kind of generous to the Engineers, to be quite honest with you, although it might be skewed by the fact that Clarkson was especially adept at winning face-offs in the RPI end, which are always more dangerous when you lose them in the defensive zone.
Face-off win again for Clarkson. Shot wide by DeHaas, just trying to miss the body in front of him. That was Wood. Played behind, skips by Bell to the far side half boards. DeVito taken into the wall by Powers. And now a shot was blocked. Pops to the far side behind the goal. Karate steps around to check. Plays up the boards for DeVito. In the air, out to center, past Tansey all the way down. Race for the puck. Tansey's going to get there first. Chased by Wood, who tries to hit him into the boards. But Wood much smaller than Tansey. Now a penalty coming up here. It's going to go on RPI. Now there's a scrap in the near corner. Tansey didn't like what DeVito did, and they're going to be separated here. But DeHaas was the one who's still on his knees in the near circle. Puck was well gone from the play, and that's where the penalty's going to come on DeVito, I believe.
Yeah, it's a reckless hit by DeVito. It really was really unnecessary. Puck wasn't anywhere near it. This is either going to be charging or kneeing against RPI's sophomore DeVito. But Tansey's going to get one too here, guaranteed, because he went right after DeVito and threw him directly into the boards in the Clarkson end. That's a bad play by DeVito, but you can call it courageous for Tansey for going out there and sticking up for his guy. But I mean, it's
probably a knee. Yeah. Second replay here, second look for us.
Unless they're going to make this a major on DeVito, which I don't think it probably raises to that level.
It could be. I can certainly see this being a major.
Yeah, it was a terrible, reckless hit by DeVito in the first place. But Tansey certainly gets.
He'll get 2.
Yeah, he's getting 2 basically for retaliation.
Yeah.
The question right now is whether this is going to be a 5-minute major on DeVito. The longer we wait, the more it ends up being one.
I'm inclined to think it's 5 on DeVito and 2 on Tansey, but we will find out in a moment. Shots are 26-12 in favor of Clarkson. And they're going to put 5 on the clock here.
That's very fair.
Yep.
That's very fair. I mean, that was just a completely reckless play by DeVito. The Engineers really don't have much of a leg to stand on to complain about this because it was just that bad of a hit.
Nope, it was bad. So we'll be we'll have 2 minutes of 4-on-4 and then a 3-minute power play for Clarkson that will be non-releasable on the major. So a big spot in this game, and really Tansey did RPI a favor here. There also would have been a very long power play and a power play unit for Clarkson that had been successful in this season series. 3 power play goals in the 2 games so far.
And to be honest with you, I mean, he put his team a little bit behind the 8 ball by taking away 2 minutes of his power play time. But I mean, the hit was reckless enough that to some extent, especially when you're a guy like Kevin Tansey who has a reputation for being a hard-nosed player,
right?
Standing up for your team like that, it's not a surprise.
Not surprising, but hopefully the Engineers turn that into a 3-minute kill as they'll break out to center. And we're 4-on-4 here for a full 2 minutes. Flipped in deep by Miller. Liljegren trying to get to it. Knocks it away from Howden momentarily. And now McGinnity, far side of his own zone. Loose stick over there belongs to Howden, who doesn't want to go get it. I think it's broken. It is. Anyway, into the zone near side come the Golden Knights. McGinnity behind the goal, sticked away by Bradley. Liljegren in the far corner now, tied up by Gervais. Gervais comes off the boards, takes a shot, saved by Kasdorf. Picked up by Liljegren. He'll make his way out to center. 1-on-3, now 2-on-3. Rolls it in on goal. Left at the side of the cage by Lewis, and he hasn't had much more to do than that so far since coming into the game in the second period. Now Karate, far side for Prapavessis, slowly all the way down. They're actually going to blow this for icing. Thought for a second it may have touched one of the Golden Knights on its way out of the zone, but they'll say it did not. 57 seconds left of 4-on-4 before the 3-minute major kicks in.
This is really crucial for RPI. They've been strong at 4-on-4 in these last two games. If they can get one here in the next 57 seconds before they have to kill this 3-minute major, which is essentially what it is after the penalty to Tansy ends, that'll be very, very important for them to have that 2-goal edge.
And we'll draw it up again. RPI won that faceoff, but linesman says no. Danilo and Bubella here to take this faceoff, which we've had issues with all evening, and teams going in early. That time Bubella wins it back to Prapavessis. He's tied up by Zarbo. Karate trying to move it out of the corner ahead, poked by Bubella out to center ice for Neal. Neal to the Clarkson blue line, gets bumped and lost the puck. Geiger stole it away. Clarkson into the near corner of their own end. Summers plays it back behind. Skips by Geiger to the far side for Zarbo. Joe Zarbo to center ice. Touched near side for Summers. Wrist shot and a save made by Kasdorf to the far side point. DeHaas, who's the man who was knocked down by DeVito to draw that 5-minute major, carries the puck all the way to the near wall. Now Danilo cross ice feed, room to work over there for Summers. Near side, one-timer put wide by Danilo. Had a lot of net to shoot at, but just kind of fanned on it. Goes behind the goal. Now here's DeHaas, a wrister high and wide off the glass. Kicked at by Neal, trying to clear, and he does get enough of it. Could be a high stick here on RPI. No, they wave it off. Power play time now for Clarkson. Puck shot up into the netting, and I believe we'll have a face-off in the Clarkson zone coming up here. We'll start off this power play. 2:54 left on it. The non-releasable left on the major to DeVito.
It's important to note, too, that a lot of times in college hockey when a 5-minute penalty is drawn, it comes with a game misconduct, which leaves the bench a little bit lighter for the team that draws it. Jimmy DeVito is in the RPI penalty bench. He's serving his own penalty, so once this major is over in 2:54, he will be available again for RPI.
15:32 left in the third. Engineers have a 3-2 lead over the Clarkson Golden Knights. And they will be tested here over the next 3 minutes or so. On the kill, Leonard off the offensive zone faceoff win for RPI, just to place it softly behind the Clarkson goal. Makes the Golden Knights start over there. Here's Geiger up the far boards. Vigneault shoots it in deep. It'll roll around behind the cage. Bradley gets tripped up as he tried to clear. Amorosa stops at the near point with the puck, still holding it. He'll try to play it down low. Helped there by Fawson. Back to the far point and an indirect for Geiger. Near point Amorosa. Near side boards. Vigneault carries it back to the point. Cycles to the half boards. Fawson all the way down low. Finds Gervais and takes a look around before playing it back to Vigneault on the near side hash marks. Vigneault holding. Center blue line to the far point. Geiger a shot high and wide. It'll carry him off the back of the net where it's picked up by Gervais. Back up top. Geiger can't control the pass. It's out to center. 2 minutes to go on the DeVito major. As Clarkson will make a partial change. Spinning around in the neutral zone is Fawson, who plays it back to Yannick Aslan, who goes all the way behind his own goal. As Geiger, it'll be DeHaas to start things out for Clarkson here. DeHaas drops it off for Aslan. And then into the zone, into the slot. A shot comes Danilo, saved by Kasdorf into the far corner. Pirati then takes a whack at Danilo. Shot to the near side for Neal. Flips it high in the air and all the way down the ice. Engineers clear. Coming up on 14 minutes left. A dangerous pass that time from the goaltender Lewis, but the Golden Knights retained possession as it was McGowan pressuring on the shorthanded forecheck. Aslan down the near side boards. Crosses center into the RPI zone, flipping it deep. Chris Bradley back to get it. Has it pinned against his skates in the boards. Now shot to the near corner. Miller trying to chase it down. Comes free to DeHaas. Near side circle Aslan. To the goal line extended for Danilo. Back to the near circle for Pirog into the blue line. DeHaas shot blocked by Bradley. Picked up Schrader off the boards and all the way down. Rolling puck will be stopped up in the far circle by DeHaas. 49 seconds left of Clarkson power play time. 13:23 left in the third period. 3-2 RPI with the lead. Into the zone come the Golden Knights. Lost the puck, Zarbo. Karate trying to flip it out to center. Kept in by the skate of Geiger, but the Engineers do clear. On a second effort. Stopped behind by Lewis. Near side, Tansey, who is out of the box after his 2-minute roughing penalty expired. Now Geiger, center ice, flipping it into the near corner. Chased down by Prapavesis. Up the near wall for Neal. Neal out to center and all the way down. 15 seconds remain on the power play. And stopping the puck with his paddle is Lewis, the goaltender. Geiger at his own blue line, feeding it forward. Gervais into the RPI zone. Drop pass into the slot. Poke free. Far side circle. Backhand shot stopped by Kasdorf. Geiger with the attempt, but not much doing there on the 3-minute major. 3 minutes of power play time for Clarkson. Out of the box is DeVito. Engineers look to break to center. Here's Schrader on the move. Flips it in wide of goal. Gloving it anyway is Lewis. DeVito comes in just wide of goal, and there's Tansey and DeVito meeting up just after they had been separated by the pane of glass in the penalty box.
That's a good opportunity there for the Engineers to show off their penalty killing. Obviously, with 3 minutes of kill to go, it's going to give any team an opportunity to show off. They didn't let one in. That's important. And like I say, Clarkson's power play looked a little bit rusty at times too. They had a couple of unforced errors that helped out the Engineer penalty kill. But back to 5-a-side here at the Fieldhouse. We're under 13 minutes to play. RPI still up 3-2.
Clarkson now 1 for 4 on the power play, trying to move out of their own end. Amorosa has it far side, high off the glass, to center, glove down by Bradley Bell. Chips it off the boards neatly for Nanny, who shoots it into the zone. Bourbonnais trying to chase it down along the boards. Taken away by Gervais. His pass broken up momentarily. Now he feeds it ahead for McGinnity. McGinnity in deep. Looking for Powers. Near side boards, Bourbonnais trying to work it out from Melanson. Avoids a bit of a slash, flipping ahead for Bourbonnais. A little home run ball. Bourbonnais into the zone, near side circle, takes a shot, put it wide. Off the base of the net. No, Bourbonnais flips it off the back of the cage for nobody in particular. Amorosa has it near corner, ahead for McGinnity. McGinnity on further for Christian Powers, junior from Carlisle, Ontario. Gave it away in the RPI zone. Prapavesis stops up behind his own goal with it. 11:25 to play in the third. Still 3-2 Engineers leading. Ahead for Schrader. Now Liljegren into the zone. Wrists one wide. Maybe a centering pass from Abella off the mark. Turned back around by the Golden Knights. Poked onto the RPI line. Prapavesis takes over for a second. Back to the neutral zone it goes. Controlled there by Josephs. Now in deep to the corner. Centering pass deflects high in the air into the netting. And we'll have a stoppage in play. 11:02 on the clock. Third period. Still no goals here, Tom, since the first.
Well, that's good from RPI's perspective since they're leading. But this is a moment for RPI now. They've got this kind of big penalty kill in their back pocket. You know, it's a tough situation that they were able to get themselves out of. Good teams are able to take big penalty kills and turn them into a little bit of momentum the other way, but they haven't done that just yet since the end of the penalty for DeVito.
Face off to the right of Kasdorf upcoming. Miller up against Vigneault. A lot of delay here on these draws. That's where you get the guys going in too early. The linesmen just drop the puck right away. There don't seem to be as many problems. Here's a bouncing puck at center ice. Swatted back out of the Clarkson zone. They have it there. A.J. Fawson has a goal today, his 5th of the year. Way back in the first period. Of course, all the goals we'll talk about so far in the first. Now Joseph stepped over the blue line and touched the puck, and you can't do that. Drawn up from the neutral zone in just a moment.
The longer this game keeps up in the way it's going, the more it's going to benefit Clarkson. They're the ones that are playing with the initiative right now. They're down. They're the ones that need the goal. And they've had the lion's share of the possession basically since the start of the second period. RPI's had their opportunities, especially in the second, but it's been a lot of Clarkson ever since the second period started.
Amorosa rings one in. It comes off the dasher in the near corner. Karate had it poked away. Danello in the far corner now, watched by Bradley Bell, who pushes him into the boards. Poked free by McGowan, ahead for the Liberté. The Liberté off the far boards, trying to get a wry Amorosa, and he nearly did. Is finally poked loose, and back comes Christian Powers. Powers into the zone far side, trying to walk around Bell. Bell puts a body into him. McGowan takes a hit, tries to clear it out far side. Captain Amorosa. Wrist shot coming. Blocked there by McGowan. Loose in front, and the Engineers pick it away. Neal off the glass out to center. Amorosa getting a lot of ice time here. freshman out of Kirkland, Quebec. I mentioned draft choice of the Philadelphia Flyers back in 2013, a 5th rounder. RPI picking things up behind their own goal. 9:45 to play in the 3rd period. 3-2 Engineers. Mark McGowan right now with the decisive goal. Here's Nanny quickly into the zone on the outlet pass. Lost the puck for a second, gets back on it, watched by DeHaas, trying to chip it out in front. Melanson comes to help out. He'll spin around in the far corner. He nearly gets dumped by Tansey, stays on his skates, and now Tansey takes it away. 3-on-3 comes Clarkson into the zone. Aslan drops it off, far circle, wrist shot, blockered away by Kasdorf, picked up behind the goal by Prapavesis. He'll feed it near side of his own zone, where Melanson picks it up the boards, chopping at it Miller, ahead for Nanny, who backhands it in deep. Stopped there by Lewis. Both teams changing. Engineers setting up their forecheck here, holding on to that lead. We've hit 11 minutes into the 3rd. DeHaas, near side feed, nearly picked off by Liljegren. He has it into the zone. 1-on-2, Liljegren with Bobella cutting to the net, spins around to the far point. Still Liljegren walking in, wrists one on goal. Rebound loose, it's sitting in the crease, and nothing. That puck just sat there. We could see it from here. There wasn't a whistle, and somehow Lewis and the Golden Knights were able to keep that puck out of there.
That's not going to be a goal, but it was created by an excellent individual effort by Victor Liljegren, who picked Clarkson's pocket in the neutral zone, gained the Clarkson end, and then just took a little bit of an opportunistic shot. The initial save by Lewis went just to his right, and then there was a scrum in front. And we've got the overhead view. I don't think this ever came close to crossing. It kind of trickled towards the goal line, but
it certainly came close. It was about 6 inches from the goal line, right?
They're going to review it, but I'm not sure there's anything that would indicate that this is going to be a goal. It started trickling in towards there. It didn't come close to going over, though. It was a good defensive play by Clarkson to get behind their netminder and get in front of the net by the time that happened, but you got to give it up to Victor Liljegren for making that happen in the first place.
For sure, and didn't come close, a relative term when you're speaking about inches there, but the puck just sat just up next to the pad of Lewis, so I don't think he knew where the puck was.
No, there's no way he knew where it was. It was actually behind him. It was momentarily, but it was
behind Schrader as well.
It was a good play by DeHaas to get to it by coming back around his own netminder and kind of poking at it with the puck as the puck just kind of trickled back behind him. So especially good play by DeHaas, who went back kind of on his knees. He went into the net first to make sure he knocked it off, which, I mean, is the smart play there. Right.
Well, trying to keep the puck out as well, helping out his goaltender. And if Schrader had any knowledge of where the puck was, he may have been able to try and kick at it, but of course that wouldn't have counted either. So
DeHaas got back there, Tansey got back there.
This is probably the best view.
The side view is probably going to be the best view. Actually,
it's the pad of Lewis that keeps it out.
It gets closer than I thought it was, but it's definitely not in. And Bob St. Lawrence waving off this one, not a goal. Good call by the officials on this one.
Easy.
Good crash by Liljegren and Schrader too. Give them credit for that, but not a goal. So with 8:44 left in the 3rd period, RPI still have that 1-goal lead, and they would do well to pick up some insurance here because Clarkson's had a lot of the initiative.
Face-off coming to the right of Lewis, who's come on in relief of Steve Perry, who made 7 saves on 10 shots in the first period. Lewis has been perfect since. We're underway once again after the defensive zone face-off win for Clarkson. Connecting to center. McGinnity 1-on-2 to the RPI line. Flips it off the stick of Leonard. Chopping at it, Leonard, but is kept in deep by McGinnity. Bradley leaves it for Schrader. He'll shoot it around far side. Bobella trying to get back on it. Now Zarbo behind the RPI cage. Bumped by Leonard. Pops free to the near half wall. Liljegren chopping at it, but it's played in deep further by the Golden Knights. Gervais to the far corner. Stepping into it is Geiger. Zarbo back to the point, skips past his man. It was a forward back to McGinnity. Now Bobella races by his man to pick it up. Bobella, tight angle shot save. Rebound Liljegren, couldn't get his stick on it. It's swept away. Good back check by Gervais that time as the Engineers nearly had a break on the rush. Fans wanted a call. Bobella was impeded on his way to the puck there by McGinnity. It was kind of a forward defending play there. Not what you want if you're Clarkson. But he got away with something that time. Now a touch pass towards the point out to center. Slapped back in by La Liberté. 2 Engineers need to touch up. They do. Golden Knights have possession of the puck. quickly to the RPI line. Vigneault poked away by Neal, helped by the Liberté all the way down the ice. This will be icing on the Engineers. And we'll have a stoppage with 7:22 left in this third period. Shots 30-16 Clarkson, but RPI still a 1-goal lead.
Well, RPI just cannot buy a power play in this game, and it's too bad because a couple of weeks ago, if you'd said RPI just couldn't buy a power play, you might kind of be thankful for it because the power play was looking pretty rough. The last couple games, it's been a lot better, and they've had their good opportunities with the man advantage. So far in this one, still no power plays for RPI, although a couple of chances that they could have had were not called by the referees.
Howden, a shot from the point, blocked straight up in the air. To the far corner it goes now. Bell has his stick tied up. McGowan trying to dig it free. Pops it loose to the Liberté, trying to skate it out to center. Gets it as far as the red line, where Amorosa turns it right back around for Clarkson. Up the boards. Kicked at and shot in deep by the Golden Knights off the side of the cage. Kasdorf didn't know where it was for a second. Now it's in the far corner. Josephs, a Pittsburgh Penguins draft choice. The sophomore left it there. Comes all the way through. Wrist shot coming. Howden, it sneaks by and in. We're tied at 3. Kasdorf slowed it up with the left pad, but didn't get enough on it to keep it out.
Well, two things on this one. First off, Josephs was left really wide open, or I should say Howden was left wide open over to the left face-off circle. He had a lot of room to work with, and he decided to make judicious use of it. It was a shot that probably shouldn't have gone in. This is one of those shots that Jason Kasdorf wants to have. He needs to kick that to the side, and it kind of just glanced off the top of his pad and into the net. Definitely one that Jason Kasdorf wants to have back here, but with 6:41, we're back to square one. It's 3-3.
6:37 to go on the 31st shot. Clarkson ties things up. Miller trying to move it out to center ice. Melanson keeping it on further. Where will the bit of offense come the Engineers need? Bradley rips it in. Roll around to the near corner. Thrown behind by Miller. Nanny trying to get on it. This line can provide energy for RPI. It's knocked away from Nanny. Tansey up the far boards. Into the RPI end, shot deep, chased down by Leonard. He's watched by Pirog. Puck rolling out to center, shot back in by Summers. Engineers will track it down there. Curtis Leonard, under 6 to go in the third period. We are now tied 3-3. You are also listening to RPI Hockey on 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy. Here's Paul Geiger from Stouffville, Ontario. Quick outlet pass near side. McGinnity trying to center on the backhand. Good defensive effort by Wilson to break that up. He knocked McGinnity down, who then gets back up. Schrader trying to poke at it. Gets it ahead to Liljegren. Liljegren to center. Connects to Babella. Babella stick handling into the zone. Drop it back to the point. Prapavesis feeding it up the boards and in deep for Babella. Now Liljegren at the half wall. Indirect pass to Prapavesis. Shoots it back to the corner. A couple players got dumped there. Picked up by Liljegren. Still being held in the corner of Babella. Now Liljegren to the high slot. Trying to drop it off. He's tied up. Kept in the zone by Prapavesis. Stopping at the far point. Penalty upcoming here on Clarkson. Shot near side for Wilson. Extra skater out there for RPI. Kasdorf is off. Here's the Liberté. Can't control a bouncing puck out to center. He'll pick it up there. The Liberté at center. Finally a touch by the Golden Knights in the neutral zone, and we'll have an RPI power play coming up at a very opportune time. 4:56 left in a 3-3 game.
And it's going to be Joe Zarbo going off for Clarkson, the senior out of Grand Island, New York. A hooking call is the penalty. And so RPI finally getting their first power play opportunity with just under 4 minutes left in a tied game. So a very key moment now for the Engineers as they had a little bit more spring in their step after the tying goal from Clarkson, and now they're going to have a man advantage to try and work with.
First power play of the evening. RPI 12 for 94 on the year. That's 12.8%. Clarkson on the kill here. And it's Melanson behind for the Liberté. Liljegren back up top. Near side circle, Prapavesis. Back to Bradley, center blue line. Bradley, far side, La Liberté. Near side, Prapavesis. Down low, Miller. Back to Prapavesis, near circle. Stick handling, back down low. It's actually Melanson down there. Skips by Prapavesis all the way down the ice. Race for the puck. Dalpe trying to get there. And the Engineers lost it again. It's controlled by Howden in his own zone. Far side, Geiger. Wasting some time, flips it to the RPI zone. Gloved at by Prapavesis. They'll say it didn't hit his glove. That would have been a hand pass. Engineers have it now behind their own goal. 4 minutes to go in the third. The breakout has begun. Here's Neal down the middle. Throwing it far side off a body. Neal picks it back up. He'll spin back around to the neutral zone. Far side Leonard. 50 seconds left on this RPI power play. And now Leonard all the way back to his own net with it. Far side Babella. Crossing center. Shoots it in just onside as Neal pops out in front. Skips over the stick of Neal and hit the Zamboni door entrance. And we've seen funny hops from there before. That one skipped right in front of the goal. Luckily for Lewis, he was camped out in his net. It could have gone off of him. Leonard, far side circle. Nanny has it. Back to Leonard. 24 seconds to go in the power play. Shot and a save. Rebound set right there, and it's covered by Lewis. Good stop and good rebound control from the junior netminder.
Yep, that's exactly the type of rebound that his counterpart, Steve Perry, was not controlling well in the first period. So Greg Lewis hasn't given one up yet. He hasn't had to stop too many shots. He's only had to stop, I believe, 6 shots so far over the last 2 periods, but he's been strong where he needed to be, and he needed to be one right there.
Big draw coming up here on the power play. The Engineers win it. Leonard, far point. Hands it off for Neal. Indirect pass down low for Nanny. Back to Neal. Neal, center blue line for Leonard. Fake a shot. Near side, Wilson. Tight angle shot, looking to maybe center it there. Loose in the crease. Slapped at, put wide, and it's picked up over there by Neal. Save was made, on that shot. Now Neal is crunched against the sideboards. Puck out to center. Race for the puck to Hawes and Miller. Miller goes down to try and break it up. DeHaas plays it down low. Back to even strength are the Golden Knights. Leonard to center for Neal. Neal stick handling there. Backhands it off of a stick of Howden and controlled by the Golden Knights. Fawson behind the goal for Amorosa. Out to center. Controlled by Karate. He goes D to D in his own end. Prapavesis up the far boards. Too far for everybody. And Lewis wants an icy call, and he gets it. 2:26 left in the third. RPI with some opportunities late in that power play, but they weren't able to get one past Lewis.
Yeah, to some extent early in that power play, they probably could have afforded to take a couple more shots. They were passing it around looking for the perfect opportunity. It just didn't come. Sometimes you do that. One of your passes ends up in the skates of the opponent. It makes it too easy for them to clear the zone out. So golden opportunity for the Engineers wasted, but they still have an opportunity to get this one. 2:26 left in the third period. We're tied at 3.
Amorosa drive from the center blue line off the face-off. Easy stop for Kasdorf. He'll smother it with the glove.
Next goal wins. That's how it plays when you're tied this late in the game.
2:22 on the clock. Shots 32-18 Clarkson. Both teams trying to snap losing skids here. Howden near point. Thrown to the far point now. Amorosa into the slot. Drop past Josephs. Blocked on the try by Howden, who has the game tying goal currently. Howden now all the way down to the corner. Roughed up is Fawson over there. They'll move it all the way to the far corner. And now Joseph's with it all along the half wall. Poked free by Leonard. He's tied up. Schrader pulls it away. Schrader to center, into the air, and off a Clarkson player in the bench. And we'll have a center ice face-off upcoming here with 1:54 left in the third period.
Engineers walking a razor's edge here in this game. The last 45 games they've played dating back to the beginning of last August, every single game that they've played where they gave up 3 goals, they have lost. And every single game they've played where they have not given up 3 goals, they have either won or tied. So something may be ready to break here tonight.
Shot in deep. We have some score changes around the league. Some important ones as well. Union has taken a 3-2 lead over St. Lawrence. They're late in the third period there. As the Golden Knights have it in the far corner. Poked free by Prapavesis, knocked down by a glove. Engineers move it to center, 2-on-2, 3-on-3 now to the line. Melanson with speed into the zone, looking to center all the way through. Is behind his intended target. That was Miller. Back on it is Summers. Clarkson back out to center ice. Here's Zarbo all by himself. 1-on-4 into the RPI zone. Skating around Karate. Backhands one off a skate. Back to Zarbo. Takes a hit from Karate to the far side boards. Prapavesis played it behind his own goal. Now a centering pass out in front. Tapped to the far point. Kept in Tansey. He'll rattle it down low. Rolled all the way around to the near corner for Danilo. Danilo gets hit there by Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais continues to put body on Danilo. Karate has it now, gave it away to Danilo. Out in front, a shot and a stop by Kasdorf, point blank. It was a bad giveaway, and Clarkson nearly pounced. Danilo with a great pass to the side of the cage. And I believe that was Pirog who had a crack at it from point blank.
Oh, we're into the final minute of the third period. Momentum still almost entirely with Clarkson. Their tying goal came at 13:18 of the third period, and the only goal we've had since the first period, scored by James Howden, his third of the year from Troy Josephs and A.J. Fossen. Even strength goal.
Draw coming up here to the right of Kasdorf. One back by the Engineers. Bradley trying to slap it around. Too far for Liljegren. No, he does have it. Chipping it in deep. Babella, the first one to it to negate the icing. Babella on it in the near corner. Tie up with Tansey. Babella trying to work it free. Tansey gets knocked down. There's a dive from Tansey. What will he play on? Liljegren out of the corner. Trying to walk it out in front. He's dumped by Tansey. Tansey becoming a bit of a villain here for Clarkson. And these RPI fans, it's swatted into the zone. RPI picks it up with 16 seconds to go in the regulation. 3-3 your score. RPI slowly behind their own goal. They'll break it out far side. Falling down there was one of the Clarkson forecheckers, Vigneault. That'll allow Schrader to move it up to center. Amoroso off the far boards, back out to center ice. Vigneault has it. Try to make a drop pass. That'll do it for regulation here. Engineers and Golden Knights are headed to overtime.
Well, a tie does RPI absolutely no good in this game. If they tie this game, they will be guaranteed to be playing on the road next weekend. May help them stay ahead of 10th place Union. In fact, it would help them stay ahead of Union for the time being, but it would guarantee them to finish no better than the position that they are in, which is 9th. So I guess the question for RPI becomes, do you cheat a little bit, trying to get that goal, be the one to get that goal, maybe risk taking the loss in this situation? What would you do, Perry?
I guess you kind of have to. You kind of see as that situation. If your true goal is to host the home ice, the playoff series, which I'm sure it is, then yeah, you want to go for the goal there, and maybe I wouldn't so much as go to pull your goaltender, but you could be a little more risky here in this situation.
I think that's probably what we will see. I also doubt that we'll see a situation where Jason Kasdorf gets pulled out of the net in a tie game, but for RPI, this is it. They've got 5 minutes to score, or they're going to be on the road next weekend, and it's a long way to Potsdam, which is the most likely destination for the Engineers should they end up on the road, which is it's not a guarantee. But
the tie helps that as well.
Yeah, tie also helps that end up being true as well. So just looking around the league, Union has a 3-2 lead over St. Lawrence late in that one. And the other big game that RPI is looking at is in overtime. Cornell and Brown tied at 3, so Cornell coming back in that one. A tie or a Cornell win is a little bit helpful for the Engineers in that one as they seek to hold off Brown as well. So if they don't win this game, their goal then is to stay ahead of Union and Brown. So staying ahead of Brown is more important because the Bears won the season series with the Engineers. The Engineers won the season series with Union, so if they can get a point out of this one, that would go a long way to keeping them in at least in 9th place. But as we've mentioned a number of times, RPI's primary task in this game is to pick up a victory in order to keep themselves alive for home ice, which they can achieve tomorrow night with a win here and then a win tomorrow against St. Lawrence, and then Clarkson must either tie or lose to Union in order for RPI to surpass them in the standings.
Ready to go here in overtime. 5 minutes on the clock. And now Tom said it with 2 minutes left. Next goal wins. Now that is literally the case. Next team to put the puck in the net wins this one. We are underway in overtime. Tansey off the draw. Knocked down at center ice. Carried in by Danilo. He gets bumped a couple of times on his way through. Picked up at the far side, half boards. Shot blocked by Bradley. Wraparound try, loose in the crease. Swatted away there by Schrader. Now a shot through traffic, picked up on the far side by Liljegren. Trying to walk around to Hawes. Liljegren into the zone, one-on-one with Tansey. Stops up at the far side hash marks. And now inadvertently kind of kicks it out to center. Karate picks it up there. Backtracks to his own zone. Near side, Prapavesis. Back to Karate. Back to Prapavesis into the neutral zone. Tapped along by Nanny. Controlled in the center of the Clarkson zone by Tansey. Gervais up the far boards, in on goal. Easy stick stop there by Kasdorf. Wrapping it out to the near side. Amoroso keeps it in deep. McGinnity gets knocked down by Karate. Puck comes free. Miller off the glass out to center ice. Amoroso trying to track it down, no icing. Amoroso behind his own goal. Shot near side to the half boards. Zarbo takes a hit, plays it back for Howden. Far side Amorosa, down the middle. Off the stick of Gervais, picked up by Prapavesis. A play behind for Leonard. Leonard had it knocked free by Zarbo. Zarbo to the far side corner. With it to the circle. Shot and a save by Kasdorf. Rebound spun wide by Gervais. Near side corner, La Liberté. Behind for Leonard. 3.5 to go in overtime. Down the middle it goes. This will be icing on RPI if it makes it all the way down, and it does. We'll have a stoppage here.
Well, this isn't the way that RPI envisioned this overtime going for sure. This has been a lot of just hanging on here in the first minute and a half of the extra period. Clarkson with all of the opportunities and a couple of spots where the puck sat in the RPI crease. And they'll face another defensive zone face-off here.
Draw coming up. Vigneault with it, and Michael St. Lawrence. I haven't seen any linesman ever hold the puck over the center ice dot, or the face-off dot, I should say, more than he does.
Builds tension.
Yeah, I guess it does. A puck behind the net, Vigneault. Far side hash marks. Good backdoor feed. Summers trying to work in front. Diving play by Prapavesis to break it up. Back comes the Liberté. Has Melanson with him. Pass a bit behind Melanson. That forces him to stop at the line, and back comes Clarkson the other direction. Josephs into the zone. Makes a move. Takes the shot. Glove save. Kasdorf, and he holds on.
Well, once again, RPI relying on their goaltender to kind of bail him out here. 2 minutes into this overtime period, and it's been Clarkson with the opportunities to win. A good stop by Prapavesis on the previous sequence to break up what would have been a golden opportunity for the Golden Knights. But RPI still playing on their heels here in the extra period.
Shot comes, second one blocked away. First shot was fanned on off the faceoff for Clarkson. And now Bradley. Far side Karate. Ahead for Bourbonnais. Bourbonnais to center ice. Backhands it into the far corner. He'll be the first one to it behind the goal. Taps it to the near corner for McGowan. Behind it goes. 2:40 left in OT. McGowan off the wall, looking to center, off the goaltender. Off his blocker and all the way out to center. Leonard picks it up and crosses center before ripping it back in. Lewis leaves it there. Tansey back to get it for Clarkson. Off the far boards. Ahead, trying to move on it is Pirog. He'll play it in deep. Prapavesis will pick it up in the far corner of his own zone. Play it behind. Bourbonnais all the way back below the goal line near corner to help it up the near boards. McGowan can't control. Kept in Amoroso. A drive. Glove saved by Kasdorf. Saw that one all the way as well. And that is catching practice for the junior goalie there.
And no traffic in front of him whatsoever on that shot. Sometimes when you're a defenseman, your eyes light up when you see all that ice in front of you. You just want to take one. But you're also pretty far from the netminder. You're giving him time to make sure he's set and in the right spot. He just sized that one up and caught it.
Tied up on the dot. Picked away by Bradley. Coming up on 2 minutes to go in overtime. 3-3, RPI and Clarkson from the Houston Fieldhouse. Milos Babella crossing center, dumping in. Schrader towed the line. Puck will roll around to the far corner. Amorosa, pop free by Liljegren. Schrader battles for it along the half boards. It's pinned up against the wall there. 3 Engineers and 3 Golden Knights over there. Comes free to Liljegren at the half wall. He gets dumped by Amorosa. Babella trying to walk into the middle with it, and it's taken away by Howden. Far side feed, now shot back to the near side off the skate of Bradley and in deep. Zarbo in the corner with it. Stick handling, gets tied up by Bradley. Goes behind the goal for Gervais. Gervais off the wall, sweeping and missing at it was Leonard. And now it's Josephs in the far corner. Josephs trying to work towards the hash marks. Poked free, picked up by Babella. He'll try to shield the puck away from Josephs. Good play by Josephs, who then throws a little bit of a hook into Babella. Puck shot deep, no icing here. Thrown in front, spinning and trying to center there. It's intercepted by Schrader, and the try by Vigneault. 1 minute to go in OT. All the way down the ice it goes. There will not be icing as Nanny with a great job to race down. Tie up in the far corner. Summers gets run into there by Melanson, but they're able to move it out to center. Here's Geiger. Crosses center, flipping it into the near corner. Prapavesis tracks it down. Skates behind his own net. 40 seconds left in the extra session. Up the far boards. Melanson off the wall and in deep. Tansey takes a look around. Fake a clearance near side. Now rolls it out the far side. Leonard over to pick it up for RPI. Back for the Liberté. 27 seconds to play. Far side Leonard. Up the boards. Melanson taps it in deep. Behind the goal it goes. Lewis plays it to the far side. First one to it, Vigneault. He's tied up there. 13 seconds to go. Back to the point. Leonard, center blue line. Fake a shot. Far side, La Liberté. He'll throw it near side. Chip back out to center. Leonard looked like he had some room, but elected to pass. And now it's shot in by McGowan with 2 seconds, one. And there it goes. A 3-3 tie. This one, exciting first period. No goals then till really late in the third. Clarkson tied it up, and an uneventful overtime for the most part.
Well, one way to look at this from a holistic standpoint is that Clarkson pretty much deserved to pick up the tie the way the game had been played in the second and third period. They had the initiative, they had the possession, they just weren't getting anything accomplished. Part of it was their own fault for being a little bit sloppy moving to the neutral zone. Part of it was RPI doing a good job playing defense. But ultimately, when you can possess the puck for as long as Clarkson did, especially in the third period, RPI had their moments in the second, but it was almost entirely Clarkson in the third period and then into the overtime period, controlling the way this game was played. When you do that, good things are eventually going to happen for you, and that's what happened for Clarkson. Maybe they deserve a little bit more than just a tie in this one, but for their purposes, it gets the job done because that secures home ice for them in the first round. And for RPI, that's just not enough for them. They still remain 3 points behind Clarkson, and they can only pick up 2 points tomorrow if they can beat St. Lawrence. So even if that does happen, they'll be on the road in the first round. Their focus now has to be trying to maintain that 9th spot, because if there's a team that they've been able to semi-run with to some extent this year in the 2 games that they've played, among the teams that they could be playing against in the first round of the playoffs, you probably want Clarkson. I think that's pretty fair to say. Dartmouth was a little bit difficult for RPI. They did split the season series with them, but the game in Hanover was certainly a lot more in favor of the Dartmouth Big Green, and Dartmouth has been pretty strong lately. I believe they won tonight, so that might be difficult for the RPI to end up playing Dartmouth. But I'll try and hash out exactly what the season looks like with 1 game left, and we'll shortly run down the scoring in this one. I think for RPI, it's basically just a matter of just coming back, regrouping. They got a tie here. For the second straight Friday, they blew a lead in the third period, had to settle for a tie. These are the ties that you don't like. But it does break RPI out of the streak that we were talking about earlier. It's the first time in 45 games, call it 46 games now, that RPI has given up 3 goals and not suffered a defeat, which is basically in the right direction. That's what you want to be doing, but now 9 consecutive games without a victory for RPI, and it's got to be wearing on them for sure.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where the Engineers end up. You're right. There's a couple of options here, and but I'm not sure how confident RPI could be if it is in fact Clarkson. I know these games have been a little bit sloppy, Tom, and both of them really, and seems like it's been errors that have caused the team to lose, or in this case, I guess tie, more than a team has gone out and taken the kind of the bull by the horns and won the game. So if the Engineers are able to turn things around, really, it really is kind of a coin toss, really, if you look at a series such as Clarkson RPI, no matter where they play it.
Well, RPI does have one thing going for them historically when it comes to Clarkson, is that the last time that they were up in Potsdam. Right. Let's not say that this is a historic trend, because RPI had never won a playoff series in Potsdam prior to this, but a few years ago, I think most of us, well, I don't say most of us, many of us who have been following the Engineers for quite some time remember Bryce Merriam up there. Yeah, coming away with a 3-game victory. The second game went into, I think, 3 overtimes.
Yeah. The second one was very long. I remember that.
But they were able to bounce back the next night after losing a 3 overtime game and coming back the next night and winning. So
that was the most impressive thing that I remember, is Engineers losing in triple overtime and coming back and winning on Sunday. So yeah, definitely resilience that year. We'll see how resilient this team is, Tom, coming up here. Are you?
Right now I'm calculating the
okay.
I'm calculating the current standings, so if you wanted to run down the
I'll run down the scoring. Yeah, I was curious as to you were going to have that for us. Scoring started way back in the first period. There were 5 goals in the first. Victor Lildgren scoring from Luke Karate and Mike Prapavensis at 4:07. Clarkson tied things up on the power play. A.J. Fawson from Kevin Tansey and Joe Zarbo. Then Clarkson took its first and only lead. Pat McGinnity scoring from James Howden and Joe Zarbo at 13:17. RPI tied it up at 14:01. Drew Melanson with his 7th of the year from Mark Miller and Lou Nanny. Engineers then regained the lead at 18:10. Mark McGowan with his 6th of the year from Matt Neal and Jacob de Liberté. But the game-tying goal was scored at 13:18 of the third period. James Howden from Troy Josephs and A.J. Fawson.
Okay, so what I think I'm looking at right here is there's been a lot of ties tonight. There's been basically, we've got a tie between Yale and Colgate. We've got a tie between Cornell and Brown. I believe Union has won. So I'm trying to factor all of this in here. I do know that Dartmouth beat Princeton, so that puts the Big Green up, I believe, into a tie for third place. No, it does not. Let me just make sure I've got all this 100% correct before I lay it all down. I do know something that we knew going into tonight's game, that Quinnipiac's in first place. They will remain in first place. They have first place by themselves. They're guaranteed sole possession of the Cleary Cup. They now have 35 points. Well, they're going to have 35 points. They're up pretty big on Harvard. The last time I saw it, they were up 5-2. That game started half an hour later than everybody else. Doesn't really matter that much in the long run for Quinnipiac because they had the #1 seed coming into tonight. What matters more for Harvard, who's battling for position. We've got St. Lawrence sitting in second place. I believe they've lost to Union. Let me double check that again. Yes. No. Yes. Let's call it. Yes. I'm going to say that if St. Lawrence has in fact lost to Union, they're still sitting on 29 points. They will be in second place at the end of all of this. Yale was in third place with 25 points heading into tonight. They tied Colgate, so they remain in third place, sitting on 26 points. That should be enough to guarantee them a first round bye. Colgate moves up to sole, I should say they're now tied for fourth with Dartmouth. Both of them now sitting on 24 points. Harvard falls into sixth place with 23 points. Cornell tied Brown. That keeps them in seventh place with 21 points. Clarkson and RPI tied. That means Clarkson remains in 8th place with 19 points, and RPI stays in 9th place with 16 points. Union, with the win, would move up to 15 points, just 1 point behind the Engineers for 9th place, but still sitting in 10th place. Brown had to settle for a tie against Cornell. That keeps them in 11th with 13 points, just 1 point behind Union, 2 points behind. I should say 3 points behind the Engineers. So RPI no longer can be caught by Brown. That means, as of right now, RPI is sitting in 9th. They can finish no worse than 10th. And they would guarantee themselves 9th, no matter what else happens, with a tie tomorrow against St. Lawrence. Union would only be able to overcome RPI, given the fact that RPI wins the tiebreaker with Union. Should Union beat Clarkson tomorrow and RPI fall to St. Lawrence, that would give Union 1 more point than the Engineers and move them into 9th. So as it looks right now, RPI will travel to either Clarkson or Cornell. That's pretty much the only 2 places that RPI can go. Dartmouth winning removed any possibility of that being, I should say, if RPI stays in 9th place, RPI would only travel to either Clarkson or Cornell. It would require, and I'm doing all of this on the fly, so excuse me if I missed something here, but it would require Clarkson surpassing Cornell into 7th place for that to happen. Cornell currently sits on 22 points, Clarkson on 19, so I was wrong. Pardon me again. If RPI remains in 9th place, they will play at Clarkson. Clarkson will finish in 8th place no matter what happens tomorrow. So at the end of the day, we're talking about RPI playing at either Cornell or Clarkson, because if they finish in 10th place, they would almost certainly go to Cornell. I believe the only other place if they finish in 10th would be that they could travel to Harvard. I am trying to make all of these numbers in front of me fit into my head. I believe that is accurate, though. RPI finishing in 9th place would go to Clarkson. RPI finishing in 10th place would travel to either Harvard or Cornell. So if that's wrong, we'll be back to correct it tomorrow morning, or I should say tomorrow evening once we go on the air here from Houston Fieldhouse for the senior night game against the St. Lawrence Saints. So, with all of that mathematical stuff out of the way, the Engineers guaranteed to go on the road next weekend. My offensive engineer of the game is Drew Melanson, the freshman out of New Jersey, just absolutely on fire tonight as far as being able to move up and down the ice. He was cherry picking well. He actually does something that we haven't seen a lot of RPI players do in some time, and that's really just stay way up in the zone while the team sets up to break out of their own end. We saw on a couple of occasions tonight with the RPI defense behind their own net waiting to break out. Drew Melanson was skating around well deep in the Clarkson zone and then brought himself back to the blue line to gain it as the puck came down, so that if he didn't collect the puck, he was in a good position to go down there and grab it. And he waved out, got a couple of icings waved off for his trouble. He did score a goal here tonight, his 7th of the season. This is really part of a freshman class that, if they develop well into the future, is going to be a big part of RPI success going forward. But that's an important if. They need to get better next season, but they've already been one of the catalysts for the Engineers this season. And defensively for the Engineers, my defensive engineer of the game, another freshman who really is developing his defensive play an awful lot, which RPI needs to see going forward. They want him to be an offensive threat, but they also need him to be an important rock on defense. Mike Prapavesis had some good moves to delay Clarkson opportunities during the course of the game. He kept them from having an opportunity to win the game in the overtime period with a good stop just to the right of Jason Kasdorf, who again didn't quite have his best game, especially on the last goal, the tying goal for Clarkson. Probably wants to have that one back, but some good defensive stand in front of him, especially from the freshman Mike Prapavesis, who really going forward is going to be a major part of this RPI team. Even next season, he's going to be probably the RPI's biggest rock back on defense, with the possible exception of Chris Bradley, who will be a senior next season. So that just about does it for us here at the Fieldhouse. We want to be sure to thank Kevin Roberts back at the station for getting us out on the air and keeping us there. We also want to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides the funding for WRPI and all the club-related activity of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of RPI hockey, football, and baseball. Just a reminder, WRPI is on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to WRPI.org. And you can pick up WRPI's broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As long as WRPI is broadcasting, we provide that broadcast on our internet feed. Once again, that's WRPI.org. Our next WRPI Sports broadcast is also our next men's hockey broadcast tomorrow night, Saturday, February 28th, from the friendly confines of the Houston Fieldhouse. At RPI, the RPI Engineers conclude their home schedule on senior night as they take on the second place St. Lawrence Saints. Puck drop for that game is at 7 p.m. Kurt Studd and I will be on the air at about 6:45 for that one. So be sure to tune in for the final home game of the season tomorrow night as the Engineers take on the St. Lawrence Saints. So for Perry Lascaris, my name is Tom Reel. You have been listening to Engineers Hockey. Your final score from Houston Fieldhouse is RPI 3 and Clarkson 3. You've been listening to all this on your home for Engineers Hockey, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy.